I have unmuted us, so we could check out.
Test, test, test.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, right, at 1:30.
Are you guys ready?
Let's do
All right, everyone, we'll get started. Welcome to the August 13th, 2026 BAR Small Meeting. My name is Lindsay Van Slamberg. I'll be your chair. Fellow board members present tonight are Kaylin McNabb, Daryl Cobb, Becky Finno, and Bill Turner. City staff present are Frankie Pinto, BAR's administrator, and Travis Golly, senior preservation planner. The order of tonight's meeting will be as follows. For each item, we'll hear an introduction and overview of the project for the benefit of the board and the public, and this will be given by city staff. This will be followed by the applicant's presentation. The applicant will have a 10-minute period of time to present, and if you are the applicant, please approach the podium and state your name first and last for the record. And anyone speaking on behalf of the applicants, this would be owners, designers, consultants, architects, should speak during this applicant presentation versus during public comment. After the applicant's presentation, we'll hear public comment. So any written public comment that was timely provided in advance of the meeting has been provided to the board for review. If you are speaking as a member of the public, please raise your hand. I'll recognize you, approach the podium, state your name first and last for the record, and your address if you're a neighbor nearby. Public comment will be followed by city staff comments and recommendations. And then once we've heard from city staff, the applicant will have a 5-minute period of time to clarify or respond to anything raised during public comment or in the city staff comments and recommendations. After the applicant response period, we'll move into board discussion and a vote on each application. Results will be posted online on the city's website. No items have been withdrawn or deferred. Please remember to turn off your cell phones, and that the purview of this board is architecture only. So anything related to stormwater, livability, zoning is not within the purview of this board and should not be voiced here. Okay, we'll get started. Agenda item A1 is review of the minutes from the July 9th, 2026 meeting. I make a motion to approve as written. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. The motion passes. And then agenda item A2 is review of the minutes from the July 23rd, 2026 meeting. I make a motion to approve with the revisions I circulated to the board this afternoon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill. Put the motion to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. The motion passes unanimously. All right, agenda item 1 is 246 Grove Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction and overview of the project, please.
Yes, ma'am. 246 Grove Street is in Wagner Terrace, Council District 6. It is a Category 3, Group 2 in the architecture inventory, circa 1950. It's in the Historic Materials Demolition District. They are requesting approval for partial demolition of exterior elements visible from the public right-of-way. This is the property's location on Grove Street, and I'm going to turn it over to the applicant.
Hello, board. My name is Frankie Rogers. I'm the contractor on 246 Grove Street. So this is the front of the home. It was built in approximately 1950, traditional 2-story brick crafts style. You see a lot of these in the Wagner Terrace Hampton Park area. And our owners are very on board with keeping it as historically accurate and original to the design as possible. The rear deck that we are here about is not original to the property. We estimate it was built in about the early mid-1990s, and it's in a state of disrepair, whereas we can barely get up and down it without somebody's foot falling through it. Next page, please.
You should have a clicker there.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, if you hit the
Wow.
green arrow, point it at Travis's laptop, and it should switch slides.
Just wait.
Ah, Thanks. So this is our existing site survey, showing the property as it is with the adjacent streets. Let's see. I think I might have
Just
a
may not be
battery or something on this thing. Screen is.
And then is it double or triple? Batteries.
Yeah.
I still like that.
Thank you.
It was a dead battery.
That was the fault.
Great.
Ooh, Rachel's not here. Good.
This page is our existing site plan. That was done by our architect, Bill Clark. This is our architectural demo plan, showing the existing, floor plan of the rear of the house with the deck and all three sets of stairs that would be demolished. It also shows the, one door, that is part of backside of a laundry room that would be getting removed and filled in with brick veneer. This is our rear elevation. It shows the existing deck that would be demolished and also two rear doors that have been replaced already, and they've been replaced with doors that are slightly taller than what was previously there. The height change was from a 6'8" door to a 7'0" door, so it was a 4-inch height increase. And then this also shows the rear stairs underneath one of those doors that would be demolished. This is the street view from the back corner of the house, showing the rear deck kind of as it is against the house. And we've got some photos of the existing condition of the deck. It's I think that the structure was built in the 90s and it may have received a refresh along the way, but it's in tough shape. And here we just have pictures of the adjacent properties within the neighborhood.
Any questions for the applicant? Thank you. Do
Thank
we
you.
have anyone speaking from the public? Okay, Frank, if you'll give the city staff comments and recommendations, please.
First, staff had some observations. One, the request includes the removal of the rear deck and some fenestration changes. The deck is not under purview since it was built in the 90s. The door height change and the door infill is the after the fact request. Staff just have a condition that any changes to in scope has to return to the board. So staff recommendation is approval of after the fact demolition with the staff condition.
Thank you, Frankie. Mr. Rogers, did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in the staff comments and recommendations?
No, thank you.
Okay. Public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote.
Any issues?
No issues.
It's reasonable.
I make a motion for approval of demolition with staff.
Okay. Sorry. We have a motion on the floor for approval of demolition with the staff condition. Do I have a second to Becky's motion?
I'll second it.
You came on with the motion for the vote. Bill,
Yay, but.
Daryl,
Be in favor.
Becky,
Yeah, in favor.
Taylor.
Yay, in favor.
Chair votes the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, agenda item 2 is 554 UG Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction and overview of the project, please.
Who was our second on that? I apologize.
Oh, Taylor.
All right. 555 UG Street is in Hampton Park Terrace, Council District 6. It is a category 3 group 1 in the architecture inventory, circa 1920 in the historic materials demolition district. They're requesting an appeal of a staff decision. This is the property's location on UG Street, and I will turn it over to the applicant.
Hey there. I'm Greg Champion with Renewable Anderson. Just the basic window replacement insert. We're not ripping any wood out as far as other than the sashes and the stop. We have been approved on other occasions in different, obviously, homes, but not a lot to say really, other than if you need the grid pattern to match the old no grids, you can match grid pattern if it was requested. Just let us know, basically.
Any questions for the applicant?
How old is the building?
We dated it to 1920.
Okay.
It's a category, it's a,
It's a category 3, but it's a group 1 because
Group
it's
1.
contributing to the National Register.
And it's just those 3 windows on the second floor.
Got it.
Front and facade. Yeah.
Do any of the lower sashes have rot or, where they're no longer sound?
On the first floor, you mean?
On the second floor windows that.
Some of them had some rot, yeah, it was enough that they definitely need something, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone speaking from the public?
So, obviously, I'm opposed to, this application. My name is Kevin Eberly. I live right around the corner, president of the Hampton Park Terrace Neighborhood Association, and I just wanted to make maybe 2, comments. First, I moved into the neighborhood a long time ago and helped with the National Register application process. And way back in '97, when we were doing that, we had to designate every building in the neighborhood as either contributing structure or a non-contributing structure. And of course, we looked at every individual house on its own terms, but across the board, 2 principles that we used were if a house had all of its siding replaced, which for some crazy reason happened in the 1960s for a while, or if a house had its windows removed. Those were grounds for saying that the house was not a contributing structure to the National Register. So having the original windows in the house is extremely important, apart from just the importance of having the historic windows in an historic house to begin with. It is, by the way, listed on the National Register as a contributing structure. And one of the reasons that I wanted to mention that is I know that the board frequently hears people who will come before the board and take advantage of what I think is an ill-advised policy about material replacement in Uptown. But the policy specifically treats National Register properties separately. And that policy says if these buildings listed on the National Register are recognized as exceptional and irreplaceable based on their architectural, cultural, or historical significance, their architectural qualities, unique forms and features should be preserved, and historic materials should only be replaced when beyond repair. These windows are clearly not beyond repair. Having repaired windows of the same vintage, they are clearly not beyond repair. And I know the application had said, well, they're drafty. That doesn't even begin to come close enough to justify the removal. And then the other policy that I wanted to end by mentioning is I know that I don't think it's an official policy, but I think there has been a policy the last couple of years that legacy owners are sometimes given a bit more flexibility for applications. That policy, I want to remind you, was not created just willy-nilly. It was created so that long-term property owners could stay in their homes and not be priced out by having to do BAR compliant work. Applying that sort of policy in this case would be a perverse outcome, because the cost of a tube of caulk, last time I was at the hardware store, something like $6. So it would be perverse to say, well, this long-term homeowner, and therefore we're going to be more flexible so that that person can spend 100 times more money on doing bad quality work. So I'm totally opposed to this for any number of reasons.
Thank you, Kevin. Do we have anyone else speaking?
Kate Utilities for Charleston Foundation. Deeply appreciated the opportunity to visit the site this morning. We understand the applicant's concerns, however, we believe the existing windows remain in repairable condition, and we recommend repairing rather than replacement, consistent with the Secretary of the Interior standards. If drafts are a primary concern, storm windows could provide an effective alternative while allowing the historic windows to remain in place. For these reasons, we respectfully request that the board uphold staff decision. Thank you.
Is there anyone else speaking?
Laurel Bay with the Preservation Society of Charleston. The PSC appreciated the opportunity to visit the site this morning, as well as the owner's stewardship of this historic property over many decades. These historic 6/1 wood windows are character-defining features of this historic craftsman style foursquare. The PSC upholds staff denial of the proposed 5 bricks windows, and we encourage the applicant to work with staff to pursue options for repair, or if deemed truly beyond repair, choose an appropriate replacement window. Thank you.
Is there anyone else speaking? Okay, Frankie, if you'll give us any staff comments and recommendations.
Staff just have the observation that this request has to do with the preservation staff denying a permit. Per our historic materials line policy, staff cannot approve a simulated divided or vinyl window for group 1 buildings.
Okay. Did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in the public comment or the staff comments?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you. All right, public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote.
We've been pretty consistent on this across the board, so I would be in agreement with the Preservation Society, the Historical Society, and the staff.
I agree, and I think part of that policy is that staff is not able to approve this because of the material, and so staff would be able to approve something that is within the allowed materials if they wanted to move forward with the replacement. But I agree with you, based on what we saw on site.
I don't think in this case, placement should be permitted.
Right.
I mean, so I think I agree with the comments. I mean, it's in the National Register. It's a contributing building. And the condition of the windows is repairable. So I would not be in favor of any sort of replacement.
I've in my years, I've repaired a lot of these old windows like this, and these are completely repairable. They can also, there are ways to make them weather tight and operable. Reglazing, it's just, that can be done far cheaper than putting new windows in the house. And another issue I have is you're going to end up with mismatched windows on the front elevation of the house. So I'm opposed to it.
Do we have some consensus on the motion?
Make a motion for denial of approval.
You want to uphold the staff denial?
Uphold
Is that
staff
your
denial.
motion? All right. Thank you, Daryl. Do I have a second to Daryl's motion?
A second.
Thank you, Becky. A motion to a vote. Caleb,
Yay in favor?
Bill,
Yeah, in favor.
Daryl,
Yeah.
Becky,
Yay in favor.
chair vote to the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you all. Good night.
Agenda item 3 is 390 Sumter Street. At 390 Sumter Street. Frankie, when you're ready, if you'll give us an introduction and overview of the project, please.
390 Sumter Street is in West Side, Council District 6. It is a category 4, group 2 in the architecture inventory circa 1930 in the historic materials demolition district. They are requesting approval for partial demolition of exterior elements visible from the public right of way. This is the property's location on Sumter. I will turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time this morning. I've had Corpus on the city architecture on the architect on project. The project itself is a renovation and addition to the rear of the house. Obviously, it's in the historic demolition purview. There's a couple of changes, mostly to the back side, but there are a few on the front that are more visible from Sumter Street itself. And you can see from the Sanborn map that the original piazza from 1930, 1940 was a full-length 2-story piazza. Currently, you can see in the picture, it's not. So part of what we are requesting up front is the removal of just this bay of exterior wall. It's currently a closet on the second floor serving public space. The owner wants to make it part of the piazza again. So put that back to the outdoor space, and with that, There's a door here leading to kind of two living rooms in the first floor, leading to one of them, leading to a bedroom on the second floor. I want to take out the doors, put in windows. So it serves as more of a piazza. And then secondly, with the rear addition, now most of the rear addition would be removed. We are holding the walls in from the side, the roof down from the top to my elevation. So you can see from the depth and demolition mark how we're trying to keep it a little bit more subordinate and make sure it's not overpowering anything with the historic building itself. It is all wood sided, so the siding being removed will be wood. We are also looking at potentially stuccoing over the existing CMU / brick foundation. We talked a little bit this morning on site about adding some flood openings or maybe removing some of the CMU. So I look at that a little bit further, just for that flood part. I'm a little bit reluctant from a structural perspective because 12 by 12 brick isn't always the best for a 2-story building. And then I think lastly, we've got this metal shed that we're trying to get rid of, so we have some space to do the addition. And I think that's all of the scope that's being proposed.
Any questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thanks.
Do we have anyone speaking? Frankie, if you'll give us city staff comments and recommendations, please.
Yes, ma'am. Staff observations, request includes the majority of a rear wall, but it is pulled in from the corners and below the eave per staff's normal comment. Visibility of the rear demo is only from Race Street. We were a little confused on the, and I think it was just we couldn't tell on the drawing what exactly the roof was doing at the infill eave, but that was just confusion. I think you explained it pretty well at the site, so we'll clarify in permit if necessary. And we did not consider the reopening of the piazza to be a demolition, so we weren't considering that to be under purview. Staff condition for approval, we stucco the CMU portions at the foundation only. And it's going to be a new standard comment for us. Any changes in scope needs to return to the board. Staff recommendation is approval of demolition.
Thank you, Frankie. So even if the porch infill is more than 50 years old, I mean, I like the policy, but you wouldn't consider it a demo if they were going to return it?
We weren't considering if with him reopening it and turning it back into a piazza, we weren't considering that a demolition.
Yeah, I know.
I think that was just the way we were thinking of it.
I don't disagree with it. Anyways, did you want to respond to or clarify anything?
Yeah.
All right, public comment in the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote.
I think a lot of this is restorative. You know,
Great.
correcting past ills and what's happening on the back, he's staying in from the corners and below the ridge line. Exactly what we always ask people to do. I'm good.
I agree.
Bill, did you want to make a motion?
I will make a motion for approval as submitted.
Do I have a second to Bill's motion of approval of demolition as submitted?
Awesome. Second,
Thank you, Daryl. I'll put the motion to a vote. Kayla,
Yay in favor?
Becky,
Yeah, in favor.
Bill,
Yeah.
Daryl.
yeah, in favor.
The chair votes with the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, agenda item 4 is 13 F Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction and overview of the project, please.
Yes, ma'am. 13 F Street is in West Side Council District 4. It is created circa 1950s in the start materials demolition district. Requesting approval for partial demolition of exterior elements, not exterior elements visible from the public right of way. Sorry. This is the property's location on F Street, and I will turn it over to the applicant.
Good evening, my name is Laura Worrell. The owner and applicant wasn't able to be here tonight, so I'm stepping in for them. The property is interesting in that it's one of the ones that both is fronted by a street on the front and back, so it runs all the way through. So the rear of the lot is visible from the public right of way. Sanborn maps show a one-story wooden structure originally here through the 1944 Sanborn map. It looks more, at least in footprint, resembling a freedman's cottage or something similar in size and footprint. It appears through records that the latter half of the 20th century that was completely demoed and replaced with a CMU block rectangle structure. And we're here today to request removal of the low quality metal roof and its structure, as well as removal of the north and south gable ends of that CMU wall, and the modifications of the window and door penetration structure. This is the current footprint. The rear addition appears through records to be early 2000s to accommodate the bathroom that's currently there. Here are the proposed elevations showing in red the demolition request, and then the other square penetrations showing the proposed revised penetrations for doors and windows to bring in more light and create more symmetry on the main facades of the structure. This is that west elevation that has no penetrations because of the lot line and fire requirements 3 feet from the lot line, so we're not requesting any additional penetrations on that facade. The existing materials of the windows, some are wood, some are vinyl and not great condition. Where the rear bathroom addition was added later, that roof line does not match up with the original structure and has caused lots of moisture penetration through the last few years. So requesting these modifications along with the views of the eclectic modifications and newer buildings on the backside of F Street to the front of the property, and thank you for the consideration.
Any questions for the applicant?
You presented it well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone speaking from the public? Okay, Frankie, if you give us any staff comments and recommendations, please.
Okay, staff's observations, request includes fenestration and the roof and structure. Staff is not opposed to demolition on the rear facade. We are concerned that the structure might be unreinforced CMU. The roof form and windows are character defining and should be retained. Staff conditions for approval: if approved, project must wait a 30-day appeal period for a permit approval. And any change in scope must return to the board. The staff recommendation is denial.
Thank you. Frankie, did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in the staff comments and recommendations?
Again, just add an additional note, looking to add more light in this space by adding more penetrations and understanding the importance of the later 20th century in this neighborhood and all the CMU structures. So that's why no request for full demolition was requested. Owners are trying to keep the form that exists in the materials. Through engineering, obviously, we'll have to find out more concerning reinforced CMU block.
All right, public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote.
And Frankie, did I hear you right? Staff's recommendation was approval of demolition?
Denial.
Denial. We had conditions if it was approved.
Oh, okay. It probably, is it time to talk?
Go
It
ahead.
probably is unreinforced CMU. It seems like all these old buildings are. And when the engineer gets involved, in my experience, there's a percentage you're allowed to cut into a CMU wall that's unreinforced, but that's not our problem, right? We're just.
I think I have no problem with the demolition. But if they get into it and need to request more, they have to come back to the board.
I mean, it's a post-World War II building. I think any work done at the building will improve, its aesthetics at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I would support the demolition.
I would too.
I'm comfortable with it. It's not a high quality building.
Yeah, and I think
Character defining about its period in time.
Aaron, did you want to make a motion?
Sure. make a motion to approve for partial demolition of exterior elements visible from the public right away.
All right, we have a motion on the floor for approval of partial demolition as proposed. Is that okay? Do you have a second to Kaylin's motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Daryl. I'll put the motion to a vote. Bill,
Yeah, in favor.
Becky,
Yeah, in favor.
Kaylin,
Yeah, in favor.
Daryl.
Yeah, in favor.
Chair votes the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, agenda item 5, 355 North Nassau Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction over the project, please.
555 North Nassau Street is in East Central Council District 4. It is not rated circa 1900 in the Historic Materials Demolition District. They are requesting approval for partial demolition of exterior elements from the public right of way. This is the property's location on North Nassau. And I will turn it back over.
Again, Patrick Corpus, Pharmacy Architecture. This project is it's a little bit kind of a piecemeal of things from the data we can find. We are planning a renovation and a small addition off the back side, but if you can see from the Sanborn maps, it looks like there were 2 separate single-story buildings, and then there was 1 2-story building on the back, and then there were no buildings whatsoever. I know that to be false in conversations with the neighbors, that the guy next door who was born in his house in 1949, this house has always been here, so I do believe the 1900 build is more correct, at least as it pertains to this front building. And we can see that's what's shown in this picture here, is kind of more of that original bungalow style building. Tried to find some aerial photography going back as far as we could. Kind of see there's parts of a building here, not so much on the back side, informing us that the 2-story portion of the building is on the back side here. Definitely not original to the house. Best I can tell, it was built sometime in the late 70s or 80s. It is very awkward as it has a 6'11" and a half ceiling, 7-foot bearing points, making it not really code compliant. So one of the things we are requesting is the removal of the roof. I know I don't typically like to do that, but it's awkward. It's not fitting with the style. It's got a 2-foot overhang. You can see it actually overhangs the property line by about a foot. So it's kind of non-compliant in a whole lot of ways. Outside of that, there's some fenestration changes we're planning or would like on that back non-historic portion. You can see from the elevations, I've got 6/6 windows on the original portion. I've got 2/2 vertical on the first floor. I've got 2/2 horizontal on the second floor. It's kind of a weird hodgepodge. Most of them are wood windows, except for a window into the kitchen here and a window into the kitchen here. Those are vinyl. We are planning to replace them, put them back as wood. Going down this elevation, this window doesn't exist. A couple of wood windows. These are all falling apart. As you can see in this picture, they're all missing, not there at all. So there's a couple of fenestration changes, mostly to make it more cohesive and make the new layout, the renovation part of work. We're requesting approval for moving the siding. There's actually a nice wood Dutch lap siding underneath that. I think 90 to 95% of the house is clad in usable historic wood siding. And then as we go through this, we're going to hit the substantial improvement mark. So the foundations are going to need to be removed so we can raise the house about 2.5 feet. The only other things I think that we are a couple of small door changes to the front. This door here is a fiberglass door. Looks like it was put in sometime in the 90s, and replace that. And then the whole thing needs a re-roof because it barely has any shingles left, especially on that first story, that single story portion. And you can see in this elevation, the outline of where that addition's planned to go. Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant? Is there anyone speaking from the public? Frankie, if you give us these staff comments and recommendations, please.
Yes, ma'am. So staff had some observations, request include portion of north wall, first and second floor windows, second floor roof and structure, and portion of rear walls. The elevation of the structure is not under our purview. Two-story addition appears sometime between 1955 and 1973, and we are not opposed to any demolition on the two-story portion of the structure. Staff conditions for approval, we just had a note that we wanted removed. There's a couple of notes that say UON or a couple other, unless otherwise noted. Per legal, we need to get them removed from drawings and not so that it doesn't apply to any of the board approval. And then if approved, project is to wait the 30-day appeal period for permit approval, and any changes in scope must return to the board. Staff recommendation is approval with staff conditions.
Thank you, Frankie. Did you want to respond to or clarify anything in the staff? Thank you. All right, public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. So move into board discussion and a vote. I think it'll be an improvement.
Yeah.
And I appreciate them saving the sort of camelback because certain neighborhoods do have that. And, you know, those disappear or have been disappearing recently. So I'm glad that it's sort of being preserved, even with some modifications.
Make a motion for approval with staff conditions.
We have a motion on the floor for approval with staff conditions. Do I have a second to Daryl's motion? Thank you, Becky. I'll put the motion to a vote. Bill?
Yeah, in favor.
Kaylin?
Yay in favor?
Daryl?
Yeah, in favor.
Becky?
Yeah, in favor.
Chair votes for the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Good one.
All right, agenda item, oh, Kaylin.
Kind of.
Agenda item 6 is 16 Trumbo Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction and overview of the project, please.
16 Trumbo Street is in Charleston Village, Council District 8. It is a category 3, circa 1867 in the old historic district. They are requesting conceptual approval for alteration to previously approved drawings. This is the property's location on Trumbo, and I will turn it over to the applicant.
Good afternoon. My name is Amanda Bruzocco and I'm an architect with Cozy Studio. Our project for 16 Trumbo was previously presented at the March 26th meeting and was given approval with conditions for the lift. And as we moved into structural coordination and permitting, it was determined that the existing drawings were off by a couple of inches due to the racking of the structure. Typical Charleston house, nothing is straight, everything's off a little bit. And due to the discrepancy of the previous approval we received, it became void. And this presentation now represents the most accurate dimensions of the house. Again, here's our survey. Our historic images of Trumbo Street. Again, this presentation is only for the lift, so we will not be altering any of the floor plan or the existing structure above the foundation. Here's the images of each facade of the house. Here are some existing street context images, the surrounding homes. Here are the existing photos of the piazza and exterior conditions. Here is our streetscape view. And if it's okay, since there are no floor plan changes, I'd like to fast forward real quick to the elevation. So here you can see that we are only lifting the house. I just want to be clear that we are not altering any existing dimensions of the house except for the height being raised to 2 feet above base flood elevation, which was already previously approved. In total, the house will be raised 5'9" and our request to lift to 2 feet above BFE was already approved and has not changed. However, in our remeasuring of the house, our new request will actually be 1'3" shorter than the previously approved. The conditions we were given in the previous meeting have also been addressed, including changing the arch under the front steps and infilling that with masonry and stucco instead of lattice, and adjusting the front steps to not extend past the left corner of the house. And this proposal also includes that if the house were to be unracked, we would need to detach and reconstruct the piazza, as it is by preserving the porch flooring, the existing columns, the existing ceilings, and reconstructing the parapet and the roof with a hand crimped metal roof. So here you can see we're coming in with the brick on the new foundation on the front. We are proposing brick columns underneath the piazza and filling that with lattice under the piazza element. The rear portion will be stucco on the new foundation and include a lattice door and brick steps on the rear. Here you can see the west elevation, including the piazza, and see those brick columns being expressed with the lattice infill in between, as well as that new brick stair on the rear to the backyard. And on the east elevation, we will be doing stucco on the foundation walls with the recessed portion in between the columns and a brick stair on that side as well. And this just shows the demo of the foundation. And here are our piazza drawings, should we have to reconstruct the piazza. And here is our baluster detail and our lattice and column detail, as well as our step detail.
Any questions for the applicant?
So the lattice detail is, what is, I miss it?
That was just showing how the lattice panel attaches to the brick column.
Okay, and the lattice is what? What is it?
It's just typical lattice.
Is it like store-bought lattice that's,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah, the quote for a custom lattice came back too expensive.
okay, thank you.
And can you clarify why the porch needs to be removed and and dismantled?
So in the instance of lifting the house and trying to re-rack it so it straightens out, the way that it gets lifted during the process, we might have to detach the piazza and then reconstruct it using all the same existing elements. We're retaining and preserving the porch flooring, the porch columns, the ceiling, as well as reconstructing the parapet and the roof.
Any other questions?
Have we reviewed the hardscape on this yet? Is that part of the previous one?
No.
This one is actually, there are several parts to this project, and more of the parts will be coming before you.
Okay, so we'll see the hard. later-
I
later
think
hardscape.
the hardscape is part of a rear accessory
Okay.
or rear addition, I don't remember which, but it is part of one that you will be seeing
Okay.
shortly.
Gotcha. Okay.
This was just because of the discrepancies, we needed a board conceptual approved drawing that we could follow up the permit with. So this is more of a
Okay.
clerical issue, so it doesn't look like
Gotcha.
the height magically
Okay.
changed or anything.
Because I was having a hard time figuring out what changed.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too. It was difficult.
Any other questions? Thank you. Do we have anyone speaking?
Two of us.
Okay, you can both come up.
I can look over this. I'm Cynthia Reddick. I live in 14 Trumbo. And I'm very confused because the work has been stopped. There's no work being done. And it's been abandoned. And Nat has a for sale sign on. So what is it? What's going on?
I'm sure after this, you can reach out to the architect here, the architect designer, and she may be able to answer some questions for you.
And she's concerned because her husband, her son is an engineer. And he says it's leaning, it's very precarious. She has a sick husband, she can't endure this for on and on and on, she just cannot do it. But it looks like he's had several properties, even on the street or the adjacent street at Chapman. He's raised up, then he's put the for sale sign on it, but this he stopped, all of a sudden just stopped working on raising it up. Something has gone awry.
No, the work has stopped because the city required it to stop.
Okay,
Because of a permitting issue, and that's what we're doing this with. There was a permitting discrepancy and we need drawings to match. And so essentially, the board has to review the drawings with the corrected dimensions on it and approve that so that staff can approve the permit so that their work can continue.
okay,
But because of the way the city processes work, we required it to stop.
okay,
But it is still being inspected by the city building department.
thank goodness.
So it has been inspected, and it is being monitored by.
Okay, well, I'm so grateful to hear that.
But that's not on the applicant, it's a process issue, really.
So is it for sale or not?
The ownership is not anything that we have anything to do about, and it's not part of the board review of the project.
We only look at architecture.
But they do have a permit in right now that is waiting to be approved. And that's gonna be part of my staff comments. But we made them wait before they could get that approval.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else speaking from the public? Okay, Frankie, if you'll give us city staff comments and recommendations.
Okay, staff had to deny permit due to some discrepancies from the board approval. These are the comments from when we issued that denial. And I can skim through them really quick. I know some of those have been addressed. Permit drawing showed a bump out on both piazza infill floor, both piazza floors along with the wall behind the bump out skewed to the west. The height of the piazza shown on the existing and proposed permit drawings does not match the drawings sent to the board. Floor heights appear to have been changed, and the measurements provided on the board drawings either don't match or are omitted on the permit drawings. Piazza floor and fascia board appear larger on the permit drawing, and the stairs off the back of the first floor piazza have been altered from the board approval. That was what staff sent to the applicant when we requested them to come and get this sort of reapproval.
Which ones are outstanding still? You said they'd addressed some of them.
I'll let the applicant speak to that. I know that they had looked at them. But because of the differences in the height from your previous approval, staff couldn't approve permit that we told them that needed to come back for this review. The conditions I have listed for approval are just the sort of the combined staff and board conditions from the previous motion. So as Amanda said, some of them have been corrected on these drawings, but we would need them to still be part of the motion because they were part of the previous motion. So staff recommendation is a conceptual approval with board and staff conditions and a preliminary final review by staff.
Thank you, Frankie. Did you want to respond to or clarify anything in the public comments or in the staff comments and recommendations?
Yeah, I just want to mention that all of the comments that Frankie and Travis provided to us have been addressed. As far as the masonry infill, we did change that on the front. We will no longer be doing custom lattice. As I mentioned, we will just be doing traditional lattice. The balusters on the front changing, we do believe that we have good reason for doing that. on the historic images, if we look at that slide, I can go back to it if we need to. It did show previously on the piazza that there were balusters, turned balusters, I should say. And so that is our reasoning for going back to that original look. And we did restudy that front stair and riser condition, so it doesn't extend past on the front facade. So just want to make sure that all those comments are addressed so we can get through permitting and resume our work on the project. Thank you.
One question, when I look at the drawings, and I'm looking at the front steps, as shown on the west elevation, they look extremely narrow.
On the west elevation,
Yeah, the front steps up, when you look at them on the west elevation, they look just very, very narrow. Is there any reason why you're not going back to the width that pre-existed?
yeah, so we were trying to give as much space back to the sidewalk as possible. It's a unique property where the stairs come onto the sidewalk. And I know from previous projects that we've worked on, it's been a bit of a contention point with how far you can extend onto the sidewalk area. So for that reason, we just went with a dimension we knew has been previously approved.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like your handrails and balusters are about a foot into the, is that just a drafting error? If you want to look at
Maybe that's what it is.
It does.
sheet A203,
We can adjust that to be,
I think that's probably just a drafting error.
Yeah.
But
okay,
there's still only 3'6". That's pretty narrow.
That's pretty narrow.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, A203.
Very.
See that bottom?
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's just a drafting error.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, public comment and the applicant presentation is now closed, so move into board discussion and a vote.
They're lowering the height, which I don't think is the problem. It sounds like the lattice.
Yeah, the lattice I haven't, I'm sure you're sharing my same concerns. I hope these are not the panels of pre-made lattice that you go to Lowe's and buy.
That's not allowed.
Yeah, we don't allow those. Yeah, it does, those are large expanses of lattice. It needs to be custom lattice.
Yeah.
As far as the piazza goes, I would encourage you that if you do have to remove the piazza during the lift up, there have been a lot of really bad modifications to this piazza. That would be the time to, if you're gonna remove it, go ahead and correct it all, because it's got these enormous eaves on the roof of the piazza that extend way out. And same as with the piazza screen wall up top, parapet wall. It's wrong. And then I guarantee you those panels that you're seeing at the top of the first, those are not original. I believe they were added when the porch was modified and it was dropped to the ground. So I would, if you do have to remove, I would go ahead and redesign it. I would design it the way it was originally and get rid of some of these funky, messed up details that are on it. So yeah. On the that would be the here. On the east side, those piers, the east side of a single house, and most houses downtown, be them single or not, they would never have the expressed piers in the foundation. It'd be flush, and the piers would be expressed to the underside of the house. The only time you normally have expressed piers is underneath the piazza. So that should be a continuous flat wall along the foundation wall along that east side. And let's see, we talked about the front steps. I think that's all I've really got.
I don't have anything to add.
The only other thing I had was that just the newels look a little random on the stairs. Where they are.
Do you think,
It's a little
do you
weird.
believe that this piazza's had some major
Oh, I
modifications?
think it's changed over time. I go back and forth between, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I think it should either be lifted and maintained,
Mhm.
or if it's gonna come off, that it should be a proper restoration.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
I wonder if we can put that in our board motion with,
We could.
if the board would approve, a restoration of the piazza, if they came back with that, could you?
You could handle that as staff, couldn't you?
if you made it a condition of your approval.
But now's the time to fix it.
I don't think it needs to come off during the lift.
Yeah, but if it does have, but if it does come off, yeah.
Then we would approve a restoration to its historic form.
Yeah.
Bill, did you want to make a motion?
Let's see, I will make a motion for conceptual approval, preliminary and final reviews by staff. Let's see,
Staff condition 1B.
1B, yes. Revise the location of the front step rail, which I think that was just a drafting error. Eliminate the expressed foundation piers on the east elevation.
Hold on. Say that one more time.
Eliminate the expressed foundation piers on the east elevation. Lattice panels are to be, how should we put that, Errol?
I would put, you said custom lattice panels.
Yeah.
I think they could be 1x1 ribs that
Yeah.
are framed appropriately,
Yeah.
or 1x4s framed appropriately.
Okay. You want to add that?
There's the policy for lattice.
Lattice panels to comply with
I think
board
staff,
policy.
It's in the elevation guidelines.
Okay,
yeah, I think.
all right, great.
Staff could clarify that.
Okay, with BAR policy.
And should the piazza need to be removed during lifting, staff will have the ability to approve reconstruction using proper detailing.
And the piers on the back of the building, we're to eliminate those.
Yeah.
And
Okay, and then what was your fifth one? You have comment?
You were
Did
talking
we
about
cover
the east side
yes,
piers, yeah, I think.
Did you
put
say
in
that?
there.
Yeah, eliminate the expressed foundation piers. Do we need to say the elevation? Or is it all?
I think you could say
Okay.
just keep it as that.
All right, so we have a
Was there any
motion.
feeling on the railing?
Oh, yeah.
I think they have to provide, just if they want to change it, they have to provide. some historic document.
So do we need to say anything about that?
Yeah.
Or,
Thank you.
that'd be staff comment 1B and 1C then.
Yeah.
Baluster should not be changed, that is the proposed
Okay.
profile.
So just adopt that.
Okay, so motion on the floor for conceptual approval with preliminary and final review by staff. With staff conditions 1B and C, and then some board conditions. 1, to revise the location of the front stair rail. 2, to eliminate the expressed foundation piers. I said on the east elevation, but should we take that out?
Yeah, you can take it out.
Yeah. So just-
Find all elevations.
Straight eliminate the expressed foundation piers. 3, the ladder panel should comply with the BAR policy. And then 4, should the piazza need to be removed during the elevation, then staff can approve restoration of it to its historic form and permitting.
Mhm.
And that's it.
And the railing. I think the railing has to.
But that was a staff comment that you just adopted.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, they have to provide evidence of historic.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so do I have a second to Bill's motion?
I'll second it.
Errol, with the motion. Vote, Becky,
Yeah, in favor.
Bill,
Yeah, in favor.
Errol,
You in favor?
they vote for the majority and the motion passes unanimously.
He's recused on this one.
You don't have a lot.
Oh, different one. Sorry.
He said he was recused on Bennett too. I don't think, do I have a form? Oh, I just didn't. Okay, all right, Frankie, if you'll give us Introduction and overview of agenda item 716 Bennett Street.
Have to read. All right, 16 Bennett Street. It's in Charlestown, Council District 8. It is not rated circa 1920 in the old historic district. They're requesting conceptual approval to elevate building. That's incorrect. That says 4 feet DFE above base flood elevation with a new deck. This is the property's location on Bennett. And I will turn it over to the applicant.
It's not 4 feet.
I don't think it is 4 feet because it was in the staff comments.
Hello again. I'm Amanda Frizzoco. I'm an architect with Cozy Studio. This project that we have to present for you today is 16 Bennett, which we will be lifting to 2 feet above base flood elevation.
Thank you. I
Yes.
thought that was.
Yeah, no problem. And adding a new front stair as a result, and also expanding the back deck on the rear. So here's our survey of Bennett Street. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Bennett Street as it is typically the street on the news that is notorious for its terrible flooding. And as we dove into the history of Bennett Street, we came to find out that it actually was built on a previous location of a pond. So that was interesting and accounts for a lot of the flooding issues that they have. And if I may, I have some photos that the homeowner, Chris McCool, gave to us. Just to show how terrible the flooding is on Bennett Street. Yeah. And their house specifically is really at the low point of Bennett Street. And you'll see in the photos that the north side of the street tends to flood much, much worse than the south side. And their backyard is about a foot lower than the adjacent properties. So the McCools have lived in this home for many, many years and have endured numerous storms there, and the flooding of their home has really impacted their lives. And the McCools plan to stay in this residence for many, many years to come. And the updates that we are proposing will help mitigate this flooding and reduce the impact of flooding on their lives. Here are some additional historical photos. Here is the house. It is a traditional craftsman style. Here are some existing site context photos of additional houses on Bennett Street. And as you can see, several homes on Bennett Street are high up and have a high first floor elevation. And you will notice in Mr. McCool's photos, oh, sorry, I already said that. And relative to the streetscape, this home can be lifted an additional couple feet. We're proposing to raise it a total of 3'9" from its existing elevation. So not terribly high, but this will give them the 2 feet above base flood elevation. And considering their unique situation with their existing site, I think it's valid in proposing the additional 2 feet above base flood. Here is our site plan, which gives you a good idea of what we are proposing with the lift. As I mentioned, we have to reconstruct the front stair to meet that elevation. And the way the stair currently is with the straight run down to the street, there was not enough space to have the amount of treads needed to reach up to the new first floor elevation. So we are proposing a new L-shaped stair and a built-in planter around it to mimic the existing planter that's on the site. And as you can see, we're also expanding that back rear deck. Here is the ground floor proposed. You can see that L-shaped stair with the proposed planter, as well as the stair from the upstairs elevated deck to downstairs. The new deck will expand about 15 feet from the existing house and will be expanded over to the left corner of the rear. No work on the second floor, interior, or the roof. Here you can see our elevations. The front stair will be reconstructed in the L shape. It will have stone treads, and it will also have a new craftsman style railing with like 1x1 pickets. The rear deck portion will be elevated, also with an L-shaped stair. And the new foundation walls will be CMU with stucco over top. The infill panels in between will be the louver panels, vertical louver panels. And we'll have flood vents as well. Here's the east elevation, just showing the louver panels in between the stucco columns. And here is an axon of the proposed.
Any questions for the applicant?
The balusters for the new steps, are they the same dimension as what's on the porch? You more or less
Yes,
looking
they're
at-
one by one.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. And what's the reason for the bump out on the driveway side? The reason for bracketing that instead of a foundation? What's the reason for that?
Yeah, so they are having an issue with parking.
Oh, I see.
So if I go to the site plan, you can see where the existing foundation wall is of that bump out. It's limiting their ability to park 2 cars in their driveway.
Do you think that bump out's original, or do you think?
I don't think so. Is that bump out original? I don't believe it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's what, a bathroom or something?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, I think that's it, yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. Do we have anyone speaking? Oh, Frankie, if you give us any staff comments and recommendations, please.
Right, staff just had some observations. The proposal is raising the structure an additional foot above the design flood elevation. In the drawing labels, the design flood as base flood has base flood plus 2 feet. For existing structures, design flood elevation is base flood plus 1 foot. The existing side bump out should be supported with structure beneath. Staff condition for approval, we have to lower it to the correct DFE, but staff recommendation is a conceptual approval with board and staff conditions and a preliminary and final by staff.
Thank you, Frankie. Did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in this? Yeah. Public comment of the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and vote.
I have one more question.
Sure.
What's the logic behind going an additional foot in elevation? Because you're already at you're already, I mean, taking it to design flood elevation, you already get the insurance benefits there.
Mhm.
So what's the reason for the additional foot?
Yeah, they believe their site in particular, just with how severe the flooding is. I mean, their backyard slopes a foot down and we're actually proposing to infill that backyard an additional foot to have the water drain to the street better. But they're having major flooding issues, so they just wanted that extra foot just for safety and precautions. They plan to stay in the house a real long time, so yeah.
The water seeks level, so it's not, just because their backyard's lower doesn't mean that the water's gonna become higher, so.
Yeah, but we'll be infilling it too, so yeah, I see what you're saying.
And then the other, I have one more question.
Mhm.
I forgot about before. Is there a reason why you're doing panel insets all the way around the house instead of any continuous foundations like, the house has continuous foundations now?
No particular reason, just aesthetic purposes.
I didn't know if that was any type of a to be FEMA requirements. Yeah, because this is not a velocity zone, so you wouldn't have to have, breakaways or, Okay.
Thank you.
I will say every once in a while in certain areas of town, it's really been south of Broadway areas that really flood a lot that we know about. We have allowed applicants to go above our typical height.
That doesn't make sense to me,
Really.
because,
I guess the argument was if we're gonna raise it. and-
water seeks, the water is still the same elevation, whether or not your property is 6 feet below your neighbors or 3 feet above your neighbors. The water level is still gonna be same in both houses, so.
So it's allowing them to go up an extra foot, doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
It just, it just adds more steps to it. It adds more verticality to the stretching the house up, getting it away from its normal proportions, That's the thing that I struggle with. I mean, going above the DFE, and that's why our policy statement was written, that we stick to DFE.
Right, and in this case, it's BFE +1 in the matrix, right?
Yeah.
Didn't we just approve Trumbo? With
I
the same-
remember doing that. I don't remember that as being part of unless I just slipped by us.
Because
I don't
Trumbo
think-
was base flood +2 on the drawings. I just checked it. And this is the same as Trumbo.
And I don't think we should be doing that. I think we should honor the matrix and go, I mean.
I thought we were only doing it on those streets, like Trumbo is another one that
I mean,
we all wasn't there. to go for.
We've had people come in here wanting to go up higher, trying to get garages underneath. We've
Right.
always said no to that.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
But if they wanted to go higher and they were on a street like Trumbo or like this one. It's, then my memory is that we have allowed them to elevate their houses further than the policy allows.
Scientifically, that doesn't make sense to me.
BFE puts the
If I could
finished floor,
clarify something for the board,
the finished floor is BFE. Am I saying that right?
just to clarify, the first project that y'all approved with the additional height above design flood elevation was on a street where the flood maps had changed during their design process. So when they started designing, they were designing it at design flood, and then the flood maps changed during their process.
So we left that.
Which was why you,
And for historic buildings, it's BFE +1.
correct,
Gets you to the design flood.
Only
correct.
on new
Yeah,
construction.
But we can give, is that the 1 foot we can give, or do we normally give one on top of that? That's my question.
FEMA required for new construction.
Right.
Two.
It's 2,
Yeah.
but for existing buildings, it's only 1.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
try to keep it, the
Yeah.
matrix is
Yeah, yeah.
done so that it
Yeah.
keeps the scale as low as possible. And you still get the insurance.
Yeah.
Coverage that's needed.
Get all the same benefits.
So I personally am not in favor of, I'm in favor of staying with the matrix and not granting the extra foot. I also think the front stair, there needs to be some homage to the existing form. I don't know if it's 2 walls coming out that support the landing that kind of reference. Like this craftsman style, this form is just really strong, so I feel like just to put that sort of generic stair that's kind of pulled in just doesn't look appropriate to me.
Yeah.
Or at least needs to widen the center on the columns. So there just needs to be a little bit more work done on the land, at least the land.
That landing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And normally with this style of house, the steps would come straight out, of course. You can't do that, so yeah, but I agree with what you're saying.
I agree with your comment that it should be a solid foundational.
Yeah, definitely.
The piers and lattice are only appropriate under.
The piers and lattice give it a beach house look. And it also stretches the vertical proportions. When you look at the house, it looks stretched even more when they're sitting on top of a series of piers. So, if I had anything else. I do think that the use of the front plano is a good thing. It's a nice scale device to help bring it down. So and I don't really have a problem with not having the foundation underneath that side bump out. The side bump out is an original.
Yeah.
And I think of some hefty brackets underneath. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
It'll just look like a bay. That's common to see a bay window bracketed. And if it gets some extra parking space, that's a good thing downtown.
Is this something that we can give conceptual approval to with comments and the staff can take it from there?
So, okay.
That you want.
Sure, I just make a motion.
Yeah.
Basically with Staff conditions for approval and board comments. Or do you need me to list?
I think it is, so
List
that
them out?
DFE comment, that's staff condition 1, and then the board conditions, I think, are for a solid foundation wall.
With
Yes.
no express piers. A continuous foundation wall. We gotta break people out of that habit.
Okay, and then that the landing should be resetting to give a nod to the craftsman style, the original craftsman style entry. It's just that landing. Okay, so and I've got, those are the 2 board comments. All right. So I've got a motion for conceptual approval with staff condition 1 and board conditions 1 and 2 that I just read out, and preliminary and final review by staff.
And
That
the
was staff
DFE is
condition.
on there.
Yeah, it's a second condition.
Yeah. Do you have a second to Becky's motion?
I'll second.
Put the motion for a vote. Daryl?
You in favor?
Becky?
Yay in favor.
Bill?
You in favor?
Chair votes to the majority and the motion passed unanimously. Thank you all. All right, agenda item. Take a quick break, please. Yeah, we will reconvene at 5:56.
Good slide. Gotta plug myself in first. Yeah. I don't even think of this. Nurture. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You know what, this one, for all.
So bad.
No, it's just gonna keep me up and we'll it's like.
All right. You're back. We are on agenda item 8, 145 South Battery Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction and overview of the project, please.
I can find the document, hang on. Okay, 140. One of our documents is apparently out of order. Apparently, we're on 48 Rutledge. Staff comments might have been out of order.
That's what's.
Okay, so 145 South Battery, is that 9?
Yes.
Okay.
Remember I was telling you I had them out of order and I fixed them. I apparently didn't fix them all.
Correction, we are on 48 Rutledge Avenue. I apologize. Okay,
48 Rutledge is in Charleston Village, Council District 8. It is new construction in the old historic district. They are requesting preliminary approval for construction of new home. This is the property location on Rutledge. And I will turn it over to the applicant.
Thanks, Will. Good evening. I'm Joe Gottschalk with Gottschalk Architects. I'm here with the owner, Joel Christie, for this evening's presentation. And just thank you for the opportunity to present this revised design to the BAR this evening. Let me just start by saying I noticed that at this meeting, this is our third time here, but I noticed that this time there was a number of letters that were submitted in opposition to this design. But most of the issues that were raised in these letters are asking the board to reject past approved decisions such as height, mass, scale, proportion, lot coverage, cupola, accessory building approval, and others. And so as these items have already been approved, I really wasn't planning on addressing those tonight. What I would like to focus on are the revisions that were made in response to the staff and board conditions from the last meeting. And I'm going to break them down into 2 categories, major changes and minor changes. And let me see. So this is, there's an existing building on this property now. It was an old medical building, so 1-story medical building that was built, I don't know, 60s maybe. And the owners now would like, we have already received permission to demolish this building and build a new residence. We've received all the zoning approvals for that. It is opposite Colonial Lake. It's about mid block between Broad and Bufane Street at number 48. This is the existing building that's there now. This won't travel with me, will it? This was the previous site plan is on the right-hand side. The proposed site plan that incorporates the changes that were made since the last meeting is on the left-hand side. And I will have to just say, the elevations on this were tall enough that I couldn't get the previous and the new side elevations on one page. So they are adjacent to each other, but the front elevations and the rear elevations are side by side from previous and current submittal. This is also a site section looking through, showing that the previous site section was down below. The new one is up above. One thing that will come out is in the previous site section, we did have one dormer to the front of the building. That dormer is no longer there, but in the preparation of the elevations for this review, that dormer did not get shown, but the dormer has been removed as requested by the board. So the subject of the previous designs has largely been focused on the front elevation, and specifically as it relates to the front porches and entry stair. The general concern was that the curved stair was too grand for the architecture of the house, and that there should be a more vertical expression to the front elevation. So in response to these comments, 3 alternate designs were developed, and we met with the staff and presented them to them for direction. And the consensus that came out of that meeting was to keep the double front stairs, but make them rectilinear instead of curved. This would be in keeping with the symmetry of the overall design. The other design change that came out of that meeting was to narrow the front porch to give a greater sense of verticality. So whereas in the previous design, the front porch went almost to the corners of the house, we recessed the porch 4 feet in from each side of the house, and that also brought in the one from a number of bays across that front porch from 5 to 3. And then along with that change, the eyebrow roof across the front elevation was deleted so that there was not a horizontal break across the front of the house that would allow your eyes to just continually to go up. And then in discussing the roof for the front porch, the staff indicated that a flat roof was preferred to either a gable or a hip roof. So we incorporated that in the design. Although in response to board comments, as I just mentioned earlier, the single dormer on the roof was deleted. And as I said, I noticed today that element was deleted, was not included on the previous design drawing, but notwithstanding that dormer has been removed. The redesign of the stairs and the narrowing of the front porch changed the complexion of the ground floor area under the porch. And since it became a smaller area, it's a more enclosed space now as opposed to an open area. And the board asked for additional detailing of the exterior walls, and this information has been provided on sheet. I'm going to scroll through here to A15. One. So at different locations, it's going to be a sided house with brick foundation. We're doing some belt coursing around there just to break up the height of that foundation. As we are, because of flood elevation, we are up 9 feet from grade to flood elevation. So it appears to be a full story down there, but it's not. So we're using belt coursing to break that up. So other details around cornices, friezes, columns, details such as that. I think we have some duplicate comments in here. So that was the one more try. Those were the major conditions that were mentioned by the board, but in addition to that, some minor changes that were made. The house has been moved back a further 2 feet from the property line. This was necessary as the stair redesign brought the stairs further out from the front facade of the porch. So this would allow room for an entry walk to the front gate and room for a path to the driveway. The theme porch was reduced in width from 13 feet to 12 feet. This was done primarily to reduce the impact to the backyard as a result of moving the entire house back 2 feet. And then the foundation vents on the right elevation here, as you see, they were reduced in height. In the previous design, they were 6 feet tall. And we just felt that that was kind of misleading. It was giving you the impression that there was a usable floor story down there. So we reduced them back to the same size as the vents that are on the other side of the house, just for continuity's sake, but also just to downplay the fact that there is that much height and space there. So that was the response from the comments and the board requirements from last time. And I just want to thank you for your time this evening and look forward to answering any questions or comments that might come up. And again, we would request preliminary approval with final approval of staff. So thank you very much.
Any questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone speaking from the public?
Utility Historic Charleston Foundation, as we had stated previously on this project, it's important that new architecture be compatible with character and context of the existing historic neighborhood. HCF believes the proposed residence requires further refinement to better fit with the surrounding streetscape. In particular, the proposed cupola is out of character with the area. For these reasons, we respectfully recommend deferral to allow the applicant an opportunity to simplify the design. Thank you.
Is there anyone else speaking from the public? Okay, Frankie, if you'll give us city staff comments and recommendations, please.
Okay, staff have some observations. Per previous board motion, the front stairs have been restudied. Detailing underneath the front porch are altered and the dormers.
It's still on 145.
Okay, not sure how that happened.
Do you want to read?
I will read. And I will provide them to the applicant. Per previous board motion, the front stairs have been restudied. The detailing under the front porch has been altered and the dormer has been removed, so staff is recommending a preliminary approval.
Thank you, Frankie. Did you want to respond to or clarify anything in the public comment and the city staff comments and recommendations? All right, public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. So move into board discussion and vote.
Yeah, I think the proportions of the front of the building have improved. I think the narrowing of the porch has helped. I don't remember the thing about doing a flat roof on the porch, because I think it would be better with at least a slight tip, I think it would look better. You wouldn't have the headaches of a flat roof, Everybody likes a flat roof. And then I think the front steps are less formal. I think that's an improvement. I would prefer that the foundation be all one material. So the front step areas, I think to me it's a little odd to do that out of a different material. I'd do it all in brick. I just think it'd be cleaner. I'm not opposed to there being a cupola. There are cupolas in the neighborhood, but I think it's overscaled. I mean, it's like 12 feet above the ridge. So I think its size and scale, particularly its height, needs some restudy. And then at some point we need to see some information on the hardscape as well, because I don't think we saw that at the previous meeting. That's kind of what I've got.
I have nothing. You've covered everything.
I just have one comment and I'll stand down if my fellow board members think I'm overstepping. On one of the sections, what is it, A15 on that sheet? The way the brick veneer interacts with the siding, my impression is that is sort of a suburban detail and I don't think it's necessarily appropriate for such a prominent location. I mean, I understand exactly why it's constructed that way and looks weather tight, but it just reads as exactly as it's built, that you're putting that brick veneer onto the CMU. And I just wonder if it's possible to either cantilever those joists or to have a thinner brick so that plane is a little bit more reasonable.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a good catch.
Actually, staying on the sections, I actually have a section on the port, comment on the porch section, because the second floor ceiling, and this might go to your roof question. It needs, it needs to be done with the beam and then the ceiling up above. I mean, the ceiling can't come in to the top of the column. You know, it has to be right here.
Oh, yeah.
Like the ceiling would be there, it has to have another layer and come up.
You're right.
You know, on the yeah, I think it's much better. I'm not sure about little, this is preliminary. I didn't know about the full glass doors. That is kind of throwing me a little bit. And I don't know that the belt course honestly is really working for you. It seems to be going through the middle of the openings on the ground floor. So I don't know. I mean, I would either raise it or lower it, or honestly not have it. Just, it doesn't, seems to just honestly be making the ground floor a little messier than, rather than organizing it. I think that would, and then other comments, I agree.
Do you want to see it back, or is this good to say with board discussion?
I think since we haven't really delved into the hardscape, and I'd like to see like one of the section, you know, that kind of stuff.
I don't know that they have everything for preliminary.
I think we need to see it back, you know,
Okay.
but I think it's going in the right direction. you know.
So preliminary with board
Yeah.
discussion.
How does everyone else feel about the scale and height?
Agreed with you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't mind the cupola being there. There are extant and demolished examples. And, you know, I know there's been some discussion previously about how it doesn't fit within the context, but Colonial Lake, you know, there are certain single houses in a line, but other buildings were built to be seen. And I think, you know, this building is in line with that.
The house next door has a turret.
Right.
You know.
Bill, do we have some consensus on a motion?
Yeah, back in my notes here. Yeah, I would do a preliminary approval with conditions. I would use brick on all foundation walls. Restudy the brick band course on the foundation, either by adjusting it or eliminating it.
Brick band on the foundation.
Yes. I restudied the height of the cupola. And then provide additional details and sections for building site review. Did I miss anything?
Does that cover the transition from the brick to the siding?
Oh, yeah, and restudy the transition between the brick and the siding above.
Did you want to include adding a roof over the front porch or?
You said it could be a hip roof?
Yeah, incorporate a low hip on the front porch. I think it could just kind of tuck underneath that window.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for preliminary approval with some board conditions. One, that the foundation be all one material brick. Two, to restudy the brick fan course on the foundation. Three, to restudy the height of the cupola. Four, to provide additional details and sections. 5 to restudy the transition between the brick and the siding above. And 6 to restudy the transition between the brick and the siding above on
And the second floor porch ceiling. It's The section needs to be correct up there.
porch ceiling. So restudy the transition between the brick and the siding above on the second floor porch ceiling. Okay,
I think those were two different comments.
oh, where am I?
Restudy transition between brick and siding above, incorporate low hip roof on front.
Oh,
porch.
that's, okay, so I haven't read that one yet. Yeah. Is the second floor not the entire, okay, so I said incorporate a hip roof on the second floor front porch. That was 6, and that's it.
And you've got the correcting the detail of the ceiling on the upstairs porch.
Wasn't that restudy the transition?
No.
Or that was the
That's
ceiling,
two
okay.
different things, yeah.
Okay, that's the one that I messed up, then will you hit that one?
Becky, you want, just restudy the detail of the porch ceiling, or it's where it's intersecting the column and beam. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's comment 7 to restudy the detailing of the porch ceiling where it intersects with the column and beam.
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a second to Bill's motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Kayla. Put the motion to a vote. Becky,
Yeah, in favor.
Daryl,
Yeah, in favor.
Bill,
Yeah, in favor.
Kayla.
Yay in favor.
Chair votes the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 9, 145 South Battery Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction overview of the project.
All right, 145 South Battery Street is in Charleston, Council District 8. It is not rated circa 1927 in the Olden Historic District, requesting final approval for alteration to previously approved drawing. This is the property's location on South Battery. I will turn it over to the applicant.
Good evening. Thank you, Frankie. Sebastian Bud Marshall, architect. We are requesting approval to the height of a previously approved railing, which is being added on top of a non-historic addition back of the house. I'm going to skim through most of the context and background information, which I don't think is really well. Actually, let me pause right here. And you can see the addition right here. And just a quick backstory on that, that addition was added in 2014. And then in 2019, Julia Martin actually got approval to add the screen porch, which you can see in the other picture, and to add a railing on top of this kitchen addition. Here's a precedent image of a building that backs up to our site that has a metal pipe rail over a one-story addition. Obviously, that railing does not meet code, but it is close. Here's some hand rendering that showed visibility, which were addressed in the previous approval of this project. And what I'm going to do here is skip forward. This is the existing condition. This was the previously approved condition with the low handrail, and this is the requested change to that previous approval. You can see the handrail has come up. Same on the back, existing condition, previous approved condition, proposed condition. On the other side, same. And from the front, you can see that sort of just over the original garage roof. Why is the railing coming up? Well, the roof assembly behind the parapet changed during the development of the construction drawings. And when we initially got approval for this, we were starting to use more of the parapet as fall protection. When the pitch of the existing overframe was changed, or frankly kept, we were hoping to remove it. The owner decided to keep the existing overframe. And because of that, the higher level of that overframe on the pitch drove the handrail up in the back. Let me quickly stay here for a second. The previous approval that from 2019 was proposing a cable rail. We were considering something similar or something more solid. But the bottom line is that with the additional height, we obviously had to add horizontals to meet fall protection. I think that almost covers it. I welcome any questions you may have.
Any questions for the applicant? Thank you. Do we have anyone speaking from the public? Frankie, if you give us any staff comments and recommendations.
Staff just had an observation that staff couldn't approve the change in railing height as it was substantially higher than what was approved by the board. But we are recommending a conceptual approval with preliminary and final review by staff.
Thank you, Frankie. Did you want to respond to or clarify anything?
No, thank you.
Okay. Public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote.
Nope.
Daryl,
Make a motion to approve as submitted?
did you make a motion for conceptual approval with preliminary and final review by staff?
Yes.
Thank you, Daryl. I'll put Daryl's motion to a vote. Oh, do I have a second to Daryl's motion? Give it to Bill. Put Daryl's motion to a vote. Becky?
Yay in favor.
Halen?
Yay in favor?
Daryl?
Yeah, in favor.
Bill?
Yeah, in favor.
Chair votes in the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item, make sure I have this right. 10 is 1102 King Street?
Yes.
Okay, 1102 King Street, Suite 101. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction and overview of the project, please.
Okay, 1102 King Street is in North Central Council District 4. It is not rated circa 1973 in the Historic Corridor District. They are requesting approval for alterations to previously approved drawings.
Thank you. I'll try to be brief. I've never been to one of these meetings before, but my architect decided to go on vacation and told me to show up on vacation next week. But I'm hoping it's very simple. So essentially, he submitted this thing, and I'm going to try to kind of cut through, if I don't need to, all the. I did feel like I'm supposed to mention Sanborn maps. I feel like everybody who comes here a lot says that. But this is really just a project. I mean, to be honest with you, it's an older building. My wife and I have never bought a building before. We've learned a lot. It's been a little over 2 years since we bought it, and it's right near the Harbinger and the mosque and stuff on Upper King. We went through and got approval previously from y'all's perspective or purview, as I understand it, to do this, which was to change the building. Kind of probably the coolest thing about it is there was a place called the Fabulous Ellen Bright Dance Hall, which operated from, I think, 1983 to 2015. It was like an African-American dance club. It's really cool. Apparently James Brown was there. And anyway, a lot of stuff. And I've been real close with her nephew, who's been running a barber shop there for 30-something years out of the building. Anyway, we got approval. And essentially all it is, as you can see on the board, we were going to originally do 4 apartments on top of the 3 existing commercial spaces. And then we ran out of money. And when I got the bids in from the contractor, it was like super duper expensive. And so we're now just keeping the same commercial spaces. And I think the roof line looks a little bit different. And then on the where there used to be there was now going to be a set of stairs to go into one of the commercial spaces that you were going to originally be able to access from the back. So I think that's all there is. I don't want to not talk enough, but also don't want to take up everybody's time who's been here for a few hours. But that's sort of our small change. I'm good with Stephen Rosenberg, Neighborhood Association. We met with them a lot, and everybody's in support of everything. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or I don't exactly know the procedure, but.
Great job. Are there any questions for the applicant?
It's literally just like a little bit of a sight line change, I think, because that's the door. Anyway, thank you all.
Is there any public comment? Frankie, if you'll give us city staff comments and recommendations, please.
I just have some observations, sort of further explaining the changes. So the second floor addition is not being added to unit 1104, which is Fabulous Ellen Bright Hall. The parapet for 1104 will remain in its current angled configuration instead of the previously proposed squared off parapet, which was concealing that addition. A second entry has been added to unit 1102. 1102 is still getting a second floor addition. The rear porch is no longer proposed on 1102, but rear fenestration changes are. I think I've broken it down a little slightly further. I think we did everything. We are still recommending conceptual approval with preliminary and final by staff.
Thank you, Frankie. Did you want to respond to anything in the staff comments and recommendations?
No, other than, I wish my wife and Kevin would share with me a little bit more what I was supposed to say, but.
You did fine.
Thank you. All right, public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote. I'll say we learned a lot about this building at a prior meeting. Thank you to the Preservation Society for
Yes.
schooling us all and the importance of this.
I actually started reviewing this thing more than 10 years ago.
Right.
You said it didn't come up.
Well, I'm hoping that at some point, before I go bankrupt or die, that we'll be able to do all this.
So I think it's only the change to the doors and the removal of that element, and I guess the slight change in the roof. I didn't hear any issues from preservation groups and neighborhoods out here, so.
Storefront, I mean, just small.
No problem with that.
I don't have any issues.
Bill, did you want to make a motion since you have the most history?
Yes, and I'll say, conceptual approval with preliminary and final review by staff.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor for conceptual approval, preliminary and final review by staff. Do I have a second to Bill's motion?
Second.
Thank you, Becky. I'll put the motion to a vote. Daryl?
Yay in favor.
Kaylin?
Yay in favor.
Bill?
Yeah, in favor.
Becky?
Yeah, in favor.
Chair votes to the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank
Thank you
you.
all very much. Appreciate it.
Agenda item 11 is 82 King Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction overview of the project, please.
82 King Street is in Charleston, Council District 8. It is a category 3, circa 1786 in the Old Historic District, requesting conceptual approval for modifications to existing house, addition, and an accessory structure. This is the property's location on King Street, and I will turn it over to the applicant.
Hi, good evening. My name is Eddie Fay with the Fay Architects, and we're representing the owner, Tommy Reiser, who purchased the property, and we've been working on it maybe 3 or 4 months now, just a lot of in-depth study. And very pleased to be able to present this to you this evening, because I think what we've developed allows us to kind of restore some of the original massing and forms, and it's one of the few lots of this depth and size that will be maintained as single family. I'll let Michael Strobel from my office, who's been working on it, to presentation.
Thank you. Michael Strobel from EFAB Architects. I'll go ahead and jump right into the, there we go. Jump right into the drawings here. So looking at the survey, you'll see, to Eddie's point, this is a pretty large property. You'll see King Street on the left side. It's about 200 feet deep. So it's pretty significant. And we'll get into that as we keep going here. Looking at the history of the property, you'll see that there have been quite a few changes over time, as you would expect on a property of this scale. There's 2 things that we saw that are consistent, and that's the front main house and a 2-story historic kitchen house. A couple of things that have clearly changed over time. Obviously, a lot of different buildings going on in the back, rear additions, outbuildings, and then also the connection that connects the historic front house with the historic kitchen house. You'll see a very different layout between 1888, 1902, and 1944, 51 have the same layout. The 1944, 51 are also a different layout than what we see today. The other thing that we see that's consistent, again, is the pattern of development that keeps the majority of these structures built along that north facade or the north property line. And so our design follows that historic pattern of development as well. So jumping into the photos, we see a lot of the same stuff that you would expect based on the sandboards. You'll see it is a very old historic house that's been modified significantly over time. It's got a kind of oddly shaped oddly proportioned 2-story piazza that's not original to the house. It's got some offset doors and windows that don't really align with the piazza, as I think you would expect for a non-original piazza. And then most importantly, it's got a kind of 1-story rear addition here that's got no differentiation, no corner relief, a lot of the things that we would like to try and resolve. And then it's got this two-story hyphen. That you'll see it kind of slams into the existing parapet that would have originally created the two-story historic kitchen house. And so we think those are the two things that really kind of negatively affect the historic character of this property that we're trying to resolve. So looking at other properties around town as well, you'll see that we looked at the property next door at 84 King Street, very similar layout. Looked at some properties on Archdale and Magazine Street that again have this very deep and long proportion lots. Again, you see additions and outbuildings and structures in the rear of all different scales, shapes, sizes. It's very common. And as Eddie mentioned, most of these are condoed out, so they've got pretty significant structures in the rear, and we're fortunate to not have to do that on this particular project. So jumping into our specific design, kind of taking all of that into account, we've got existing on the top and proposed on the bottom. As mentioned earlier, our first priority is to preserve and restore those two main buildings. So you've got the existing historic main house and the existing historic kitchen house. And so the two main ways that we're doing that is bringing corner relief to that rear addition, differentiating the materials, which we'll see in elevation, keeping the footprint of the hyphen, but lowering it so that it can reintroduce that gable shape to the public right of way of the historic kitchen house. And then when we get into our proposed addition, I'm going to flip actually to the roof plan, which I think is a little bit clearer. These are kind of blown out on the screen. Again, we're following that historic pattern of development, keeping everything along the north property line. The height of the new mass has been carefully controlled, so this height is lower than the main house and the dependency as well. As mentioned earlier, we're reducing the height of those hyphens so that we can restore this particular gable, which we think will be pretty visible from the public right of way on that north facade, looking from the neighboring property. And then the hyphen in the rear again is also low, so everything's staying at or below the height of the piazza on that historic kitchen house. The primary mass of this rear facade does not project any wider than the historic main house. We do have one small reduced transparent element that sits over 100 feet back from the public right of way. And that's the only thing that would project past the main historic house. So jumping into the elevations. Again, this is that existing historic or existing non-historic and non-original addition. The existing hyphen being proposed with a more appropriate and historically accurate, in our opinion, addition on the rear that's differentiated. The hyphens are lower. We are also proposing an accessory building. It's about 180 feet back. It's low. It's as small and as far away from the public right of way as we can possibly make it. And so, let's see here. So looking at our proposed, again, just looking at the height, we do believe that this rear addition is subordinate to the main structure. We feel like its height, its scale, its transparency, the simple detailing, the differentiation all make it subordinate to the main structure and the historic structures on the lot. And then that single story accessory structure as well. And I'm just going to back up 1 minute to some of these photos. And I'm just going to point out some of the material issues. I think there have been some questions about the material on the hyphen. I think this is probably the clearest area here where you can see that the new siding. The old siding is a beaded siding that's been painted over 100 times. It's been beat up. You can clearly tell that it's old. All the siding on this existing two-story hyphen is a beaded siding that's clearly milled to match in a modern mill. It's extremely crisp and the bead is clear. And then with the brick, with this squared off parapet, it's a very odd condition, clearly not something that would have originally been designed that way. You'll see that the brick of that parapet is a dark brown in comparison to a more red brick that's in the kitchen house as well. So I think the materials of the building also support the Sanborn maps and support our findings on site. So with that being said, I will flip to the perspective, and just a quick reminder that it is a 200-foot deep lot, and that pretty much all the additions that we're requesting are 100 feet plus back and very minimally visible from the public right of way.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
questions for the applicant?
One, can you speak to the hyphen that you're getting built, taking out the, you know, when that was built, or?
Yes, so the Sanborn maps. Just gonna flip back to those really quickly. So you'll see a layout with your 2-story kitchen house and a 2-story hyphen in 1888. Similar in 1902. In 1944, you'll see that the layout changes significantly with a 2-story piazza. That also shows up in 1951. We've also got a photo from 1927. That's an aerial that shows, and Eddie's got it on an iPad. It's pretty hard to see because it's all blurry, from 1927. But you'll see a clear historic main house, step down and step back up to a historic.
So you don't think that hyphen, the existing hyphen was there then?
Absolutely not. And we think that the footprint is original. Or not original, but we believe the footprint is old and the footprint is being retained. The hyphen is not going away, it's just being lowered.
Yeah.
And being retained in a much more historically appropriate scale.
Did anything show, did you look at the 1872 tri-view, or anything showed up on that?
You did not, no, sir.
Any other?
So the way, well, no, so I think you clarified what I was gonna ask. You're just bringing the height down of the existing hyphen, or the full wall structure of the hyphen would be removed and just foundation or the footprint?
The wall structure on the south side, which is the side with all the new siding and everything,
Okay.
would be replaced,
Okay.
yes.
Any other questions?
The north side.
Can I make one quick point?
Yeah.
Just, and we talked about it too, and I'll let y'all go to, but I think the more, it's clear that those buildings were not connected originally, like 110% without a doubt. So what it looks like is from the time it was built, late 18th century, every 20-30 years, there was some kind of modification with a different building, the big footprint of the freestanding building at the rear, the height was messed with. So things that happened to it throughout those years, every 20-30 years, maybe more frequently. The material that's there presently is definitely new material on the exterior. And I think we just felt like it was much more important to express the original main house, the original kind of carriage house volume. And in doing so, that this would satisfy.
And I will just point out on the second floor as well, through the connection, there's 1, 2, 3 different levels. So again, it's obviously been messed with a lot. It's pretty
So it's
unsafe, honestly, the way it is.
so it's post 1927 at least.
Yes. And according to the Sanborns, it's post 1951.
Can you speak to the modification on the second floor, kind of at that same area? I guess the hyphen widens. Sorry, I'm on sheet A102. So I guess what's happening is that this part is the hyphen is getting wider right here. Is that what's happening? And
Correct.
then
The south wall is replaced on the hyphen,
Okay.
which is not really visible from public right of way, but also historic material.
And so that original, or do you think at least the southeast corner of the second floor, that's an original corner, or that has been modified, which?
It's been modified. Again, it's got that very crisp, clean milled siding.
Any other questions? Thank you. Do we have anyone speaking from the public?
Kate Utility Historic Charleston Foundation. HCF appreciated the applicant reaching out to us and taking the time to walk us through the proposal. We understand the historic context of the site and recognize that there is precedent for the house to be extended with an addition. However, the proposed rear addition is wider than the existing dependency and therefore not subordinate. We recommend reducing the width of the structure so that it will be aligned with the width of the existing dependency. This change would help maintain the subordinate scale of the addition and lessen the visibility of the glass element on the south side. Thank you.
Laurel Fay with the Preservation Society of Charleston. The PSC appreciated the opportunity to discuss this project with the applicant. Historic aerial photographs seem to show the existing two-story rectangular hyphen mass connecting the main house with the historic dependency building. This may align with the earlier 1888 and 1902 Sanborn footprints and not the later Sanborn maps, which we know can be unfortunately incorrect at times. So if the hyphen does indeed date to at least the 1880s, or if any portion of the materials in the hyphen do, we would not be supportive of removing those materials as it shows the evolution of this 18th century property. So we would like to ask for clarification and clear evidence of the age of the hyphen and its materiality. Also, as proposed, the footprint of the new rear addition with the transparent projection exceeds the width of the historic house and dependency building and should be reduced. While the rear of the site is minimally visible, we encourage exploring options for a more sensitive connection between the intact brick dependency building and the proposed addition. Thank you.
Is there anyone else speaking for the public? Okay, Frankie, if you give us city staff comments and recommendations, please.
So I have observations. The existing addition is not original and does not follow current guidelines on how additions are made. The existing hyphen was not visible per our site visit. To the applicant. Proposed additions and hyphens are differentiated from the historic house. While the height is subordinate, the scale and mass of the proposed hyphen, I think that was supposed to be the proposed addition, sorry, feels larger compared to the historic carriage house. We would prefer the additions and hyphen telescope down from the carriage house. And then the rearmost accessory structure is minimally, if at all, visible. A staff recommendation is a deferral for restudy of proposed mass, conceptual approval for the accessory structure with preliminary and final review by staff.
Thank you, Frankie. Did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in the public comment or the city staff comments and recommendations?
Please, yeah, thank you, Historic Charleston and Preservation for speaking with us previously, and for their comments. I just want to confirm that I don't think anyone's arguing that there has been a hyphen there for a long time. I think we're just making the point that the hyphen that is there today is not the one that's been there for a long time. So we're not removing a historic form in order to introduce something new. We're using the historic record that we've been able to locate to reestablish a more appropriate relationship, which we think is the lower hyphen between the two historic structures. Relating to the structure in the rear, again, we do believe it's subordinate. It's over 100 feet from the public right of way. We also, we studied it carefully throughout the design process. We worked to ensure that we considered the height, the massing, the scale, the transparency of the element, the detailing, the differentiation from the existing structure, the placement, and the historic pattern of development along that north property line that is clearly shown in the Sanborn maps, rather than relying on just a single dimensional reference that's being referenced here. There's also a very practical issue with this particular property. If we go back to, I'll go back to the roof plan here. We did look at some other options. One of the options was to try and connect something here, because the existing kitchen house and in turn the hyphens that we obviously don't want to be thicker than the kitchen house is 10 feet wide. It's extremely narrow. So trying to make a usable space along there is extremely difficult. And you'll see in the floor plan, our owner has given us the luxury to basically make this, all of the space between the historic house and the addition, a glorified circulation route, because that's really all you can do in there. Once you take circulation out, you've got 5.5 feet or so to work with. So we didn't feel like it was reasonable. If you take out this area, you take out the entire south side of the property, We have a large magnolia tree back here. We have a 3-foot setback. You end up with a 7 to 8 foot swath of area to build a building on a massive 200-foot deep lot. So that's really, we did study quite a few other options, and we feel like this is the most appropriate option for this property.
Thank you. All right, public comment and the applicant presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote.
Concerning the addition, I agree with Preservation Society. I've looked through every historic photo that I have in my database from 1900 to 2010. It seems like, and I'm sure the building's been modified and certain materials have changed, but it seems like that roof form has sustained, and for some reason the Sanborns are just completely wrong. I found more evidence to match the original, what 1902 Sanborn map than what the 1951 Sanborn map does. I've got, just as one example, this is from 1940, and I'm happy to share these with the applicant as well. But here is a photo taken from the north, and you can see that that roof line remains the same. This is slightly different. It looks like that hyphen was done between 1882, the Lamble Plats, and the 1888 Sanborn. And then when you look on the north side of that addition, yes, it's infill, but it reads as, a circa 1900 hyphen. So I'm a little uncomfortable with the almost full removal of that hyphen, just based on the evidence that we have to date. Now, granted, there may be other material evidence that's not in front of us that may disprove some of the historic photos, but based on what I have, it seems pretty close to an original 1900 hyphen.
The form of it, even if the materials have changed.
Right, yeah, even if the siding or maybe the windows have changed.
But the 1927, it appears that it's a 1-story. That one.
The picture that's the one that Michael handed out.
So it's always been a 2-story, 1888, it's 2-story, 1902, it's 2-story in the Sanborn maps. The reverse of my image might have that a 1924 image, maybe. Yeah, if you flip my photograph over, that one's from 1924, I think, but an arrow as well. No, granted, printing is much darker.
I can't have my eyes.
I have the old.
Keep the lights over you guys are turned on. On Daryl?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until Daryl said.
Well, it keeps it relaxing in here.
Well, you can see the screen better.
You guys happen to have a question?
Does anyone have a question for the applicant to clarify something? Will you
Yes, I have a
clarify
question.
something?
Thank you.
Good, Daryl, see if that helps.
Yes,
That helps.
I just want to
That actually
clarify
is
again that
helpful.
we are proposing a 2-story hyphen still. It's just that the floor to floor level is lower, and that's what's letting us expose that gable of the historic kitchen house, which again, in our mind, we think is a win. Honestly, no matter what, obviously this hyphen has gone through multiple iterations and change. And so in our mind, would you rather see a gable from the public right of way that we know is historic and it's been there for, significantly longer than this hyphen that's changed significantly? It will still be a 2-story hyphen, and that could potentially explain the difference between the 27 and the 41 photo. Because the floor to floor in the hyphen right now is 10.5, 11 feet. So what we're proposing is an 8-foot floor to floor, so it could still be a 2-story hyphen, but significantly lower. So again, we feel like our proposal still falls in line with the historic layout.
Michael, has your owner allowed you to do any digging in walls or anything yet?
We haven't really done any selective demo yet.
Or any crawling underneath or kind of see if you
Not
can date
really.
anything?
We found that all the material that we could see inside and out is, it's got, gypsum wallboard on the inside and Lowe's trim and, clearly milled siding on the exterior. And when we accompanied that with the 27 photo and the Sanborns, we're pretty confident that it's not. Thank you.
Yes.
I think we are.
We
Yeah.
we had a clarifying question.
Yeah.
She has answered.
I think
And
it's
now
al-
we're in board.
Yeah, I think it's also the massing in that area is throwing me a little bit with the widening, the 2-story. And then the two-story, like, larger volume attached to the house, and then the simplicity of hyphen sort of went away, I think, for me, but. I guess I can keep going. I do have, typically we would have the width of that back part where the kitchen is, the new portion. Be definitely not wider than the main house. So to have that glass bump out, seems to sort of challenge that philosophy we typically have for additions.
Well, I mean, clearly the one-story shed addition, which enlarged the dining room, is, that's an oddity. That's not original. The two-story, I do think it's odd the way it kind of crashes into the kitchen house the way that it does. So I think it's like maybe it was a two-story volume, but sat on the ground or something, or had lower ceilings or something. But I find that detail just kind of strange, the way it kind of crashes into there. So I don't doubt that there was something there. It's just, the question is what there, what we have there now, is that the same as what used to be there? And if there are pieces of what was originally there, how much would there still be there? So as far as the new design, it distinguishes itself very well from the historic buildings. I think the main house reads nice and strongly now. The kitchen house reads nice and strongly. And so I think the differentiation is working well. The heights of the building, they telescope down all the way to the back, which is nice. I do see where you're coming from about they don't telescope as far as the rear kitchen building gets wider there. I guess what I'm getting at is if we can get past that existing two-story volume as to whether or not it's enough there to keep, or if it can be modified or whatever, I'm comfortable with the direction of the rest of it. And that the small outbuilding in the back, I don't really have any issues with that. It's just what I'm hanging up on is the existing two-story addition. How much of that's
where the architect has added the second floor of the appendage on the back.
Yeah.
If they were here simply to get approval on that, we probably would have approved it.
Yeah.
When you look at the kitchen house, I really like how on both sides the massing is reduced, and it's, I think it really makes the kitchen house stand out. And in respect to the back mass, it is bigger than the one in front, but they do kind of break it up. They break the massing up by pulling out the glass feature.
Right.
And it's still, if you look at the dimensions, it's still not really wide.
There are any dimensions.
I was looking at the dimensions on the existing. Yeah, where it says primary bedroom, primary bathroom. So it just didn't, if he telescopes it any thinner than the kitchen house, he doesn't have anything to work with. And the lot is 200 feet long, and it's at the back of the lot, so I don't struggle with any of it. And I'll say one more thing. The existing hyphen that everyone seems to be hung up on is, it does kind of, he used the word slam into the kitchen house. It wasn't articulately designed to attach to it. And I think we would have a much bigger hang up if it was appropriately connecting to it. But it was haphazardly designed no matter when it was done.
I agree, and if I look at what's existing now with the two-story hyphen, and I look at what's proposed to me reads so much better. It's the kitchen house is being shown so much more respect.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's my position. And if you say that the old hyphen is historical, which we can't prove at this point, it's still not a nice design. I don't, that may not matter to some people.
Well, no, Bill Huey used to say, we've struggled with this question on some buildings in Charleston, should we be preserving bad examples of architecture?
Exactly, and I bring that up from time to time too. I don't think you should always preserve something just based on the age and also simply because it's old, because there were bad things that were built back when, and there were good things, just like there are bad things and good things built now, you know.
I mean, I agree, but isn't evolution
Yeah.
something worthy of preservation too? I mean, these buildings tell a story, and so if that hyphen is historic, it tells, you know, the linking of kitchen buildings to the main house when kitchens moved to the, you know, central home.
Yeah.
I feel like I need clarification on it before we allow demo of that part.
Michael, do you think the owners would let you do some digging in the walls? Yeah, I don't know. Eddie? You know, I'm asking you a question. So.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they would,
Yeah.
but again, I guess respectfully, what I guess, I just find it hard to justify myself. I promise you, for 3 or 4 months, we've been looking at this to see. But there would be no reason for that second level of that hyphen to go into this building, step down 4 point. I mean, it's just an odd conglomeration.
It is odd.
It evolved since the day it was built, but the day both of those buildings were built, there was no hyphen. I mean, I'm 100% sure of that, and this was added. So at some point this was added, but that footprint is clearly changed by the Sanborns. And I think, again, respectfully, sometimes we say, oh, here's the Sanborn, this is right, and then here's the Sanborn, this is wrong. I mean, it's either right or wrong, but I think based on everything that we can see, regardless of that, that part is not original and it's been significantly modified. They could certainly let us look at it. He's not gonna have a problem with that, I'm sure. But I do think, I mean, it's very clear with or without that it wasn't there originally and it's been modified significantly since.
I wonder if this could have originally had a two-story L on it, and that L was extended to abut against the kitchen house.
For some reason,
I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe.
I like how the new design makes that kitchen house more prominent, whereas I feel like the kitchen house is a little lost.
And Eddie, it sounds like from the inside of the hyphen, it's a functional mess or.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at that plan on that level, sorry, let Mike do that. It steps down oddly and.
Oh, yeah, you step down into this bathroom, you step down into a closet, you step down into this bathroom, then you step down 4 more stairs.
Oh, okay.
So it's clearly wasn't like that to begin with, even if that had been there.
Yeah.
So why would we preserve that?
Well, why do we preserve the other landfills, or, you know?
Because those are good examples of historic architecture. That's where I agree. If it was a good example of a story, and it is historic, I'm not denying that, but I don't, again, know if we should be.
It's bad historical, so.
Yeah, and the bad historical exists, you know.
Yeah.
Things were done
If
on
it's
budget
historical.
Until we let people tear it off.
Yeah, if it's historical, because there's some argument to whether the Sanborns are correct or not, so.
Well, we've got 2 applications where the Sanborns have been wrong today.
Yeah.
What, theoretically.
It's up to the board if we want to defer it or we.
We seem somewhat split. My opinion, y'all know mine, I like it, so.
I'm leaning towards you,
Daryl.
And the 3 of you are gonna vote for it, and the 2 of us are gonna vote against it.
Which is fine, which is important, you know, I can't call myself a preservationist if I vote for demolition of what is probably a historic hyphen.
It wouldn't be a good board if we all have the same opinion.
Exactly, yeah.
Daryl, did you want to float a motion?
I'm gonna make a motion for conceptual approval with preliminary and final by staff.
All right, we have a motion on the floor for conceptual approval with preliminary and final review by staff. Do I have a second to Daryl's motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bill. I'll put the motion to a vote. Becky,
No, it is.
Kaylin,
No, respectfully opposed.
Daryl,
Yay in favor.
Bill.
Yeah, in favor.
Chair votes for the majority and the motion passes 3-4 and 2 against. Thank
Thank
you.
you all very much. Thank you for your time.
That was a good
Okay.
debate. Thanks, fine.
Agenda item 12 for Henrietta Street. I like the differences of opinion. I will.
Oh, yeah, I did too. I would hate falls. Something else. That's what fun.
Okay, ready?
Okay. For Henrietta Street is in Garden District, Council District 4. It is new construction in the old historic district. They're requesting conceptual approval for a new single family dwelling. This is the property's location on Henrietta. And I'm turning it over to the applicant.
Thank you, Joel Adrian, Coastal Creek here to present for Henrietta. Before I start, I do have some 3D images I'm just going to share with y'all. Just make sure you're going to have to share.
Thank you.
You've got to share that.
What?
There.
Did not.
Yep. And then this is, I'm just missing one of the sheets on this thing.
That was nothing.
All right, so thank you for your time. As you know, we have been going round and round with this house. Third time coming here, we've gone round and round with the neighborhood. Initially trying to get a little extra relief from the setbacks under the site plan. At very narrow property. And we were successful in getting a variance to make it a little wider in the front and try to get some massing. And that design was not received warmly by the neighborhood here at the first farm meeting. The bar asked if we consider. So we thought, and we wanted a tandem driveway. So in order to get the tandem driveway, we did away with the variance that we were granted. And we went with this design. So we got the tandem driveway, cars are off. Now we've got 14 feet left of width on the lot to work with, but we have depth. And so we're just trying to create a house that can accommodate multiple families when it finally gets built and is sold. That, you know, my family have 2 children, some families with 3 children could live there, just two married people or 2 individuals, whatever. And so here we are with our current site plan. So the previous one you looked at, I guess probably a month ago, we did have an extra we tried to create a second mass midway. And when you look at those elevations, you'll see that it was very unsuccessful. And I hope that you'll see that our current elevation is much more proportional in scale with the change that we made. So we simplified that structure. We do have the smaller part up front so that we get the cars parked in. It widens up a little bit, 14 feet towards the rear, and then it runs just straight back. Floor plans, you know, largely unchanged from one to the other. We were trying to create on the second floor this concept of a second floor little porch to get some people outside on the second floor. I think that is really what threw the proportion and scale off on that front elevation. I think you'll see that as we go through. Roof plans, you can see original, first review, second, and then current one, how that plan has changed and simplified. The elevations. So as we studied and looked at the elevations, we looked at our original proposed front elevation. We thought that was a much better presence on the street. We do have the only heights issues we have are the fact that this house is new construction, so it's in flood. It's got to go to the base flood plus 2 feet, and the houses left and right are basically 1.5 feet off now. But you can see from the first design to the second, we tried to increase that second mass turning and gave up 100 degrees. And that really threw the house out of proportion and making it very vertical, extremely narrow, along with that porch concept. So we went back to just gable facing the street, no porch on the second floor, simple little piazza screen hood there and go into the door, walk in, get to the interior of the house, the rear elevation, you can see the changes on that as well. Side elevations, top is the first, middle one is the second. Now we're at our current proposed side. I think that things are making sense. Windows are in alignment. Hopefully scale looks better. The house is brought down. When you see the streetscapes, you'll see that it is in line with those 3D images, provide some context of that with the other houses. This is the side that's 3 feet off the property line. We can get some glazing in there, so we've chosen to. It's short, a 1 hour rated wall. Very close to the adjacent house at 2. Very minimal visibility to that elevation. And then here's the streetscapes. So again, the context, I think, in line. That was the previous. This is our current. So this is just kind of give you an idea of the area that it's in and the size and the shapes of the houses within its context. And so I think that the depth that we're proposing with the lot that we have is consistent with other homes in the neighborhood, especially when you consider we've only got 14 feet of width to build with, whereas all the other houses are wider because they did not have to conform with the setbacks. Yeah, so I guess that I'll leave it here, and then I'll take questions.
Any questions for the applicant? Do we have anyone speaking? Frankie, will give us any staff comments and recommendations, please?
We just had observation that the front facade has been restudied to eliminate the previous proposed porch. And staff is recommending a conceptual approval with preliminary and final review by staff.
Joel, did you want to respond to anything?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. Move into board discussion and a vote.
Joel takes on some hard projects. This was one of them because of the length of it.
Yeah, Joel, I know we put you through the ringer on this. Right?
Yeah.
But good
It's a
comment.
good example of that. It's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Sometime I'll get there before 3 tries.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I feel like he addressed all our comments.
I think so too.
And as someone who wasn't there for the earlier discussions, I think this building blends in well with the streetscape. I think it does what we intend to do.
that was the issue. The other, it just didn't blend it. It's great.
So much better.
No, I'll say if I can just, Eddie Bello was the one that said it just seemed too vertical.
Yep.
He was 100%, but especially when it go back to the other. Both I'm like,
And I just think all the simplification. It's just a nice little simple house.
Can I make a motion?
You may.
Make a motion for conceptual approval with preliminary and final by staff.
All right, we have a motion on the floor for conceptual approval with preliminary and final review by staff. I have a second to Daryl's motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Kevin. I'll put the motion to a vote. Bill,
Yay in favor.
Becky,
Yay in favor.
Daryl,
Yay in favor.
Taylor.
Yay in favor.
Chair vote to the majority and the motion passes unanimously.
thank you all. Great.
All right. Agenda item 13, 89.5 Ashley Avenue. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction overview of the project, please.
89.5 Ashley Avenue is in Charleston Village, Council District 8. It is category 2, circa 1838 in the Old Historic District, requesting conceptual approval for a new accessory structure. This is the property's location on Ashley, and I will turn it over to the applicant.
Laura Altman, LFA Architecture, and I'm representing the Howell family at 89.5 Ashley Avenue. This project, this property came to you a little while back. The property from my client is just this section here, the dependency to the main house at 89. The house itself, the dependency house, was built in 1838 and is undergoing some renovations now, no additions to that house or major modifications. Tonight, we're looking at conceptual approval for a new accessory structure to provide a 1-car garage and then a loft which will be for a home office to support the dependency. We have talked with Eric Schultz about protruding into that tree setback and have verbal approval from him that will be handled at staff level during the permitting process, as long as we follow his guidelines on foundations and stuff. So we are not requesting any other setbacks or anything. This property, so here you can see the main house at 89 Ashley from the northern side, and then looking from the southern side from Ashley. This little bit here is the dependency, and then the garage is going to be further beyond that here. Okay, so we're putting the garage in the location where there was actually a little dependency, a little outbuilding on the Sanborn maps in 1902 and 1967. As I mentioned, it's minimally visible. I'm going to go here. So that shows you the view. Tried to mock up the perspective view from the street, showing how visible it is. And then here, where I feel like we've tried to make sure this is deferential to the dependency, as the dependency is deferential to the main house. Planning to use slab on grade for the garage part, wood frame, old Carolina brick veneer, a standing seam copper roof. There's a low cantilever deck and the spiral stair to access that second floor because there's not enough room within the footprint. And that hopefully that helps us with less impact on the tree roots at that great grand tree, which is an American elm, which is fairly uncommon. So we're trying our best to make sure that's protected. Let's see, I'm also proposing insulated impact windows since it is new construction. And I have talked with the owners of 89 Ashley and also with Preservation Society and Historic Charleston Foundation, and I don't know of any opposition at this point. So do you have any questions?
Any questions?
Actually, I honestly, I had one. I was a little surprised that the setbacks for an accessory building were so, like, that you had a 6 foot.
So
on
the
north
reason
side.
for that, it's a little bit of a political kind of thing.
Yeah.
This is a horizontal property regime.
Yeah.
And so I knew that if I took that exception to the setbacks and put it to the 3 feet, that meant because zoning sees this all as one lot, that would be the only accessory building that could take advantage of the exceptions with the 3 foot. And I knew that that would be a point of contention with the owner of the main house.
Yeah.
So, and if they ever want to do something on the back of that property, which they've tried to before, my client would rather than be able to push it to the 3 foot setback instead of the 25 foot setback that would be required. So that was the reasoning. And there's still enough room to get in the garage and have one more parking space and be out of the common area driveway. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Do we have anyone speaking from the public? Frankie, if you give us any staff comments and recommendations.
We just had observation while height scale maps, stairs are very prominent. We were wondering if it was possible to move the stairs to the roof. That said, staff recommendation is a conceptual approval with preliminary and final review by staff.
Thank you, Frankie. Laura, did you want to respond to or clarify anything?
If I can, can I go back to so what I've done is the reason I located the stairs where they are, I put them more toward the northern side of that little cantilever balcony, because if they were on the opposite end, they would be more visible from the public right of way. I don't believe that they will be visible from here because this is looking at the oblique angle of the driveway to the north of 89 Ashley, and you can only see barely the edge of the actual garage building, not the spiral of the stairs. I can't move it to the back unless I flip-flop the whole thing because we're right at that horizontal property regime property line. So I did specifically place it there. We've done research to make sure that there aren't any roots in that location because Eric Schultz wanted me to put it on the other side where it would be visible potentially from this angle. So that was my reasoning. Trying to keep it out of.
Thank you. All right, public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote.
I think it's a nice little building.
Yeah, me too.
And I think the stairs are far enough back. You're really not gonna notice.
Who wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. You're asking for conceptual or?
Conceptual.
Conceptual, okay. Conceptual approval with preliminary and final review by staff.
All right, we have a motion on the floor for conceptual approval with preliminary and final review by staff. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Becky. I'll put the motion to a vote. Kayla,
Yay, in favor.
Daryl,
Yeah, in favor.
Bill,
Yeah, in favor.
Becky.
Yeah, in favor.
Chair votes to the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 14 is 82 Alexander Street. Frankie, who give us an introduction overview of the project, please.
Okay, 82 Alexander Street is in the Garden District, Council District 4. It is also new construction in the old historic district, and they are requesting approval for a material change with the previously approved drawing. This is the property's location on Alexander, and I will turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you. I'm Ashley Jennings with AJ Architects, and with me tonight is my client, Bob Strail. I want to apologize that we're back here to look at a change in material. Our clients originally were really enamored with a project that was borrowing from here's the site. We were borrowing a lot of the vocabulary from this structure, and now we're borrowing a little bit of vocabulary from this structure and proposing to change it from stucco over block to wood frame with siding. These are Sanborn maps of, obviously there was a single house there previously wood sided. We're not asking for any changes to the building itself other than the material changes to the exterior. There was one comment that occurred at the BAR conceptual level approval at the last meeting, and it had to do with what everyone was calling a forehead here at the top where the parapet wall was, and we've reduced the height of the parapet wall in addition to proposing the change in the siding material. So Rob, my client, is a police officer. He served he served in Ground Zero after September 11th for 3 days, and has contracted a respiratory problem and cancer from being exposed to all the dust and debris that happened. And when he met with his doctor, most recently, after we had put the whole drawing package together, we met for permitting, his doctor said, I don't think you need to live in the stucco house. And so that's why we're here tonight, is to ask for the change in materials because of his asthma, his allergies, and respiratory issues. I think that a siding building in this neighborhood is appropriate. I think that the scale is okay. And I think that it's a good alternative. Like I said, we all really like the idea of the stucco, but I think this is a suitable alternative. So the proposal is to change the siding material. We're showing it with an artisan lap siding on the lower part and a reverse board and batten on the appurtenance portion of the building. We did change the handrail detailing because we had a wrought iron because it was a stucco building, and now we're doing a wood. We're still proposing a standing seam metal roof. There's still a stucco base. The windows and window locations, the type of windows are still aluminum clad, simulated divided light with true operable wood shutters. And this is a streetscape, which is similar to what it was before, except the parapet wall is lower. And then we have the comparison, the previous proposed, the current proposed, and you can see the thickness of the wall on the exterior gets smaller. These are all the floor plans to show indicating that change. And these are the previous and current proposed elevations, the previous being these up at the top and the current down low. So you can see the change in the height of the parapet wall here. But material wise, I think it works to scale the building. And I'll leave it here. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions for the applicant? Do we have anyone speaking? Duration groups, what? Frankie, you'll give us these staff comments and recommendations.
We just wanted clarification on whether the siding was wood or cementous. Our condition for approval was that it should be wood. But we're recommending approval with staff condition.
Thank you. Ashley, did you want to respond to or clarify?
Sure, we're proposing an artisan lap siding, which is actually available now. And the idea is that I like wood, I would prefer to have wood. We've had an issue with wood, longevity of wood siding. And so we were proposing, it's a hardy product, but it's a thicker profile than a typical hardy siding.
Thank you. All right, public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move to board discussion and a vote.
You know, if this had come to us originally as artisan siding, I think we would have approved it. The stucco was nice, it was beautiful, but this is nice also. I don't have a problem with the artisan. We've approved it on other new construction projects. I don't see this as being any different.
And previous approvals were in a similar location, sort of stored.
Yeah, we've approved a number of things with the artisan new construction.
So artisan, but not the thin hardiness.
Not the thin, oh, it has to be the thicker part, yeah. And of course, without going say the smooth, not texture, but the smooth. Which I know you would never put the.
Bill, did you want to make a motion?
I would say approval as submitted.
All right, do I have a second to Bill's motion? Approval as submitted?
I second.
Thank you, Becky. I put the motion to the vote. Daryl?
Yeah, in favor.
Kayla?
Yeah, in favor.
Bill?
Yeah, in favor.
Becky?
Yeah, in favor.
Chair votes to the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 15, 3 Gadsden Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction and overview of the project, please.
Okay, 3 Gadsden is in Rolton Village, Council District 8. It is not surveyed circa 1958 in the Old Historic District. They are requesting conceptual approval to extend the front stoop for a new front portico. This is the property's location on Gadsden, and I will turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you. My name is Kyle Belcher. I'm the contractor on the project, and the homeowner, Adam Gold, is here as well. So we, side note, I'd also had on the application, I'm not sure how this works for mineral stain, which I'll discuss on the brick as well.
Oh, I don't know how that didn't make it in the description. It is in the staff comments, so.
Okay, cool. So that is not quite what I had submitted. Well, we'll look at the images. So Sanborn map, this property was originally right here, corner, Gadsden, Devane. It's been subdivided over the years. At some point, this smaller structure is now 3 Gadsden. Current GIS aerial. So as you'll see on the site plan, there's currently a front stoop, all masonry front stoop. We're just proposing adding a portico to that. House was built in 1958. So this is the current structure. We are looking just to extend the same gable portico straight out, just to provide a little coverage, keeping the same fluted molding columns on the front facade right there, keeping the same dental molding as we pull out that gable front. Left side, got more pictures towards the end, but basically just following what is existing or what the neighboring properties show. This is looking south. This is current survey, and then current survey with the overlay, which is kind of vague right here, but keeping essentially the same footprint for the front stoop, again, just expanding it. Still staying within zoning, we're not encroaching on any setbacks or anything. That's already been discussed with zoning. So the rendering, which I'm not sure why your computer did not like my file. But again, keeping the same architectural detail that's existing on the house with the vinyl molding, keeping the same fluted columns, trim detail around the front door, square columns. We will extend the stoop, which I'm assuming that text is also got messed up. Side by side comparison. Again, the other portion of this is doing a Keem mineral stain on the brick. That is permeable product, allowing the masonry components to still breathe. Well, good, I didn't get messed up. So adding 2 copper lanterns, primo lanterns, again showing height detail, keeping the same height as that existing detail above the front door, keeping the transom. There are details on the lanterns. These are just some neighboring properties with the same type of portico that we're looking to add to it. This is 5 Gadsden, I believe, 7 Gadsden, so the sequential property is right next to theirs. And here's all the details on the mineral stain that you cannot read.
The board, just so you know, it might have been when we compressed the file, but the board did get a Dropbox file. It was not compressed.
Oh, you've got wait till the last page to mention this.
I was trying to figure out what happened to the document and then I realized, I was like, mine's not messed up. Why is it? Oh, I'm in a Dropbox.
Interesting, okay. But yes, they chose Charleston white for the color of the mineral stain. With that Keem product, you can't color match, but we would do a test sample for approval that very closely matches the Charleston white color. The shutters were holly fern, which I assume y'all can read, but not on the screen. Yeah, so I'll take any questions.
Any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, the mineral stain, will that be a solid or will it some of the brick show through or?
It depends on how many coats you put on it.
Okay.
So
I don't know if it's like a wash or if it had more of a solid.
no, from my understanding of it, I have not personally used the product. Sherwin recommended it, especially for, we're 1958, so we're not fully historic, maybe as, an 1880s house. But it adheres, it's a silicate coating that adheres to the brick. And the more coatings you get or apply, the more opaque it gets. So our request would be to have it mimic the look of a painted brick.
And this is just curiosity. The dental molding up at the gable, up at the right below the roof line, is that wood or is it masonry? It's just paint.
It's all wood.
Okay.
And we know that because a lot of it has deteriorated.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
There is no one speaking in public. Frankie?
Okay, so we just had 2 observations. We don't have any historic evidence that there was originally a portico on the structure, and adding one creates a false sense of history. And as you'll know, staff never recommends approval of bricks as the Secretary of Interior Standards recommends against painting masonry that is historically unpainted. So because of that, staff recommends denial.
Thank you, Frankie. Mr. Belcher, did you want to respond to or clarify anything in the staff comments and recommendations?
Maybe more of a question. So since this property is not surveyed, Is my understanding that that's kind of a gray area for this property, right? As opposed to being not rated or,
Well, it just means that at the time that the architecture inventory for that part of town was done, they didn't survey anything. I know they didn't survey anything more recent than 1941, but it wasn't old enough at the time. Anything over 50 years old is historic by the Secretary of Interior's. But the survey for that part of town, I think that I'm 74. So it would have been practically new then. That's the only reason it was not surveyed.
all right.
All right, public comment in the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like we've definitely said brick before 1940, no. But then after 1940, we get into, we're a little more open to it, although we generally do not.
Yeah, we generally don't. Brick. I think that kind of date, and I think it's a little fluid, was the difference between like a soft brick. And you would know more about that, right? That break in there.
Personally, I mean, not talking about precedent, but, you know, painting some of these buildings, I don't personally have a problem with it, but yeah, it depends on the coating. Now, this kind coating is mineral silicate, permeable, a great product. So I think it's appropriate on most bricks and definitely would be appropriate for 1958 hard-fired masonry. It's just in this application, using a Kime on a brick, it's so permanent because that pigment is embedded within the pores of the masonry rather than a surface coating. So there's limited reversibility. So I don't know how I feel about that, but it is a wonderful product.
Maybe, what about the portico?
Portico, I don't have an issue with there being a portico. I don't think it's really changing the character. Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. But what I have an issue with is the loss of the door surround and the fan light transom, because it's a fairly simple house and that's what they put their money into. That's the focus of the house, the most character defining feature of the house, is that surround and fan light transom. So I was wondering if you go to your precedents, let's see, page 16, would there be a way to design something that's more open like that could work around that pedimented door surround?
Oh.
Kind of gives you.
In the image overview, it's page 311.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I don't know if that's helpful, but
Keep going.
yeah, there, that one.
Yeah.
One that's a little more open versus filled.
Yeah. That way you kind of, you keep that, to me, is the main strong feature of the house, and main strong historic feature of the house. And you still get the portico. I don't know how you guys feel about there being a portico or not being a portico, or.
I don't see how you can get that portico over that pediment below that window to look proportionally correct.
Even if you were able to keep the surround and the fan light, and then maybe the pedimented portion above goes on. I would just hate to lose that whole thing.
Preservation Society and the Historic Society didn't hang out to weigh in on this.
Yeah.
So they must not be overly worried. That precedence just looks unattractive to me, but.
Yeah, it was just a way to accommodate that.
Yeah.
Maybe there are other ways. Maybe you just lose part of it, top part of it. Or you guys may not feel strongly about keeping it at home.
I don't know, I sort of feel like if that whole thing projected forward, it would be.
You'd be
accomplishing.
retaining.
Like if you were kind of looking at the proportions of that, like if those pilasters became the columns in the front, I think you could start to construct something where you left it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think because I don't love the detailing on the one proposed. I think it would be better to look at I'm not opposed to a portico, but I think looking at the detailing of what's there and if you can move that. And not, the door is a little too suburban for me.
What about the light while we're going through everything?
The what?
Any issue with the lights?
I don't have any issue.
Okay. So it sounds like no issue with there being a portico,
Right.
but maybe restudy so that you're, preserving the surround. But how about the
Preserving in
size of
design.
it?
Preserving in design rather than
Yes.
like physical preservation, correct?
Yeah. I think so, unless. But then there's no issue with the size of it. The scale of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to the brick. I don't like to set precedents, that, we really have come down hard and said, no on painted brick unless that's where this one I'm struggling a little bit and
Yeah.
I'm in the middle because it's 1958. And
I rode by this, well, actually, I walked by it, and it's not an attractive brick.
I didn't want to say that, but not on this house, but okay, in layman's
I'm
terms, if it's
usually
ugly
by-
brick
yeah.
that's later.
Have we
time
approved
painted.
mid-century modern houses being painted white and Widener Terrace?
We don't review it.
Oh, right, that's true, yeah, I just see it happen.
It's rare that we have approved maybe one painted brick since I've been on the board for
We
2
did
years.
one on Rutledge Avenue, it was a little one-story house.
Maybe.
on Rutledge.
I thought about the Rutledge Avenue project that I think it's Tyler Smith that's doing.
Yeah.
Redoing that school, or I don't know what it was. It's a big brick thing that it's huge and I've never noticed it. And I think we said you could paint that, but I think it was further up. Yeah, it was way up Rutledge, but I mean, when was that built though? The 60s or 70s? I mean, it was
70s.
Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
later. I don't know. Becky, what do you think?
I'm not a huge fan of painting it. I mean, I think it looks a little suburban. So, I mean, I'd prefer to stay with our
Yeah.
philosophy. That way. you
I could go either way, really.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm more worried about precedent, I guess, so.
Yeah, well, do we want to defer this and see it back for a restudy of the portico
Yeah.
to preserve the design? And then also, okay, so is there okay, we like the product, but is there something better that, you said reversible, if we don't think the brick's that great, do we care if it's reversible?
Right, I'm just saying 50 years, if
Yeah.
now that brick is valued, now we've
Yeah.
painted it white and we have to sandblast it off.
Yeah.
Just don't know if there are other vapor permeable coatings on the market that are sort of surface film that are as permeable, breathable as the kind products.
So it needs to say this product, but we're not really. I don't know. I don't want to kick the can down the road if we don't have any comments on the painted brick other than. We're not really sure. I think with the deferral on the portico, we have actual comments. And I think on the brick, we probably need to make a decision tonight. Unless you all disagree with me again, I'm
No.
only one member.
Are you opposed to are you opposed to painting the brick, Becky?
I mean, I am, because we have a policy. I mean, I like some consistency in what we do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
How about you, Bill?
But if in 1900, 1902 house came in, and they wanted to paint the brick, I'd say no.
Right.
It's the age of this. It's making me struggle, but.
And I'll ask a question. Is this just because of aesthetic preferences, or are you trying to hide something, or like, is it
We
bad
do,
match
which
job?
one, the paint or?
Paint.
Yeah.
The paint.
We do have some patch, so Cozy previously had this house, they were going to lift it. This, thank you, Travis, or all too familiar with. And Adam and Barb bought it. So they had already prepped the site. The front brick stooped, have been halfway demolished. They had prepped around the foundation, get the steel through. So we have a lot of patchwork to do, which is
So that's helpful.
probably relevant information I should have mentioned. So especially on the rear of the home, the sides of the home, around the foundation, we have to patch a lot.
Thank you.
Do you have a lot
Okay.
of rising damp damage? Where the rising damp damage where the mortar is actually powdering on the brick?
Honestly, I haven't inspected it that closely. So
It looked like somebody repaired it where the house was sinking on it, that corner or something.
And is this veneer on frame construction?
Well, maybe when they, if we're deferring, they need to provide those on all sides. To make that.
Okay, well
I
then,
mean, they haven't provided that.
okay, well, I think this, I could, so I'll say this, if it's true that it's, the brick just is unattractive patchwork, I don't think. I would not feel as though I'm setting a precedent to say, yes, you can paint it, given the age of the house, the age of the brick, and the current condition of the brick. So I would feel comfortable deferring it as well if we can get pictures of the ugly brick.
Yeah.
And we can feel more confident that in this situation, so if someone comes back to the board, they cannot say, well, you allowed that.
Yeah, you understand, we just don't want to set a precedent.
Everyone wants to
find out.
May I ask another question? Do you have to reattach the veneer anywhere? Like have your ties corroded at all? With the veneer? I know it's common in these buildings of this era. That would require substantial mortar masonry repairs. That would.
Above,
Actually, we saw
above
earlier
grade,
today and they did
I mean,
not.
that where they had prepped it, everything was up here.
That first project we saw this
Pretty good
morning.
condition, but again,
They had had
we've been on the interior.
Sure, just a question.
They weren't painting.
That's why we let them do the after. Okay, well, does someone want to make a motion for
We
deferral?
can even trial like some light colors to show, like, you know, because you
I-
talked about multiple colors, because we're not looking, we don't want it like the picture shows. We don't want a white, we don't live in the White House. We just kind of looking at it like a makeup, like kind of giving it a different aesthetic look.
It would be helpful, because I think we're gonna defer the entire thing for redesign of the portico but if you wanted to show us pictures of the patching and the ugly brick.
Well, it's required to show all sides of the building.
Well,
So
and
the application is supposed to include all.
also
that
all the
information.
pictures.
I would feel more comfortable, as not setting a precedent if we had something to hang our hat on, like it's been a lot of brick patching has happened or something, you know. So I
And if
agree.
they wanted
let's-
to do some samples, that'd be fine.
Yeah, if you
Except
wanna do
not
some-
reversible.
Exactly, the samples aren't reversible.
Sandblast it, right?
Sounds like, I know what.
You did that
I've never
brick
tried to
color.
move it
I
yet,
would
but
not. You can do
But they don't
sample
do
boards,
that.
but I can't do samples on the building.
Yeah, don't do that.
We have enough loose bricks around, we could use.
That's
that.
where-
Oh, there you go.
I'm just thinking, here's a brick, you know, this is one coat, this is a coat, this is three coat.
Yeah, just bring those with you.
Telling them. to bring it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
After the fact painting the brick ordered. Okay,
I'll make a motion.
thank you.
I would make a motion for a
Deferral for restudy.
deferral for restudy of a portico design which helps preserve the existing door surround. Deferral on the painting of the brick, pending samples and also photographic evidence of any damage. That makes sense. Is that too wordy?
How about for photos of current condition and
Okay.
samples not on the building?
I think we all agree that the idea of a portico is okay.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to be clear, so they have guidance that the scale of it is fine too. It's just the design that we need to see and also the lighting. Was there anything else you were asking for that we didn't cover? Because it was the lights, the portico and the painting.
What about the front door?
Oh, restudy the door. Well, that all goes, how about the portico and the entry? Portico design, portico and entry.
We thought the door, the all glass look is like very common in Charleston, that's why we thought more.
Yeah.
Having a glass door,
So the redesign of the portico and entry. And what about the shutter color? You can hear about the shutter color, that's reversible. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for deferral for restudy of the portico and entry design to preserve the design of the existing door surround. And then two, deferral of the painting, deferral of the brick painting for photos of the existing condition and samples. Do you have a second?
One second.
Kaylin, I put the motion to a vote. Becky?
Yeah, in favor.
Daryl?
Yeah, in favor.
Bill?
Yeah, in favor.
Kaylin?
In favor.
Chair votes for the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. It's late. I was about to say Dalen. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Do I have a second from Daryl? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.